There might be some rain coming through. We expect rain soon. Rain is close. session has been declared wet. No sign of this rain stopping. Rain is clearing up. Rain should be gone for now. Nothing but sunshine all day.
It's gonna get hot today. Grab a ice cold sun drop and show us how you drop it.
Drop it like it's hot. Drop it like it's hot. Drop it like it's hot.
Drop it.
Cause I got it going on. Drop it like it's hot. Drop it like it's hot. Drop it like it's hot.
A thirst-quenching citrus soda just dropped coast to coast. Sun drop.
That's how you drop it.
Drop it like it's hot. Drop it like it's hot.
Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the ISCA Super Cup Series. And we're going to have a super race here tonight. We are at my home track. Of course, everybody probably knew Brian was going to say that. Darlington Raceway. I live 15 minutes down the road from this racetrack. I'm going to be going to the race on Sunday, so this is going to be an awesome warm-up or something to tempt me for that race. on Sunday. Of course, my name is Brian Britt. I have Big Al in the booth with me as my co-commentator. We're joined once again by J.C. Evans as well. How are you guys doing? We're at the track Too Tough to Tame.
I am doing great. I'll say, you go ahead, JC.
I was going to say, I'm doing pretty good, Brian, and thanks for having me in the booth again.
I am doing Brian. I'm doing great, Brian, and I'm excited to be here as well, man. Darlington, this used to be the Southern 500. Here we are now, my little favorite drink of all, the Sundrop 250, man. So I think everybody's going to get their stripes tonight, and I think it's going to be a pretty exciting one. Another thing that we got to keep an eye on is that track tent, man. I guess it's pretty hot down there in Darlington today.
Yeah, it is. It seems like I do believe about 120 degrees track side, so it is a hot time of year in South Carolina, but of course it's not that hot today, so kind of shocked to see it being this hot here in Darlington. But yeah, in the summer race, or should I say Labor Day race, it does get that hot. 119 degrees, though, to be exact, but it's going to be probably very slick out there with that heat. I mean, I know Darlington is already a track that handling is so important. As, of course, practice is starting to wrap up, we're going to be moving over to the qualifying session. Let's actually look at the details for tonight's race and see exactly what we have in store. This is going to be a gauntlet. It is going to be a long race for these drivers. 183 laps at this 1.33-mile racetrack, and this is the toughest track of them all. Of course, stages are 35 and 80, so a lot of these drivers are going to be probably taking a pretty good breath of I'd say relief, or kind of just to let the pressure off during these stages, because this place is a high-octane action at its finest. 6 sets of tires altogether, 5 down in the pits. Of course, fuel window is 75. I got to be honest, though, that fuel window, we're not going to be thinking about that at all. Tires is going to be the name of the game here tonight, gentlemen.
Yeah, absolutely, Brian. As we were sitting in the booth talking, it was interesting to me that the actual track, the air ambient temperature is, I believe, 79 degrees, which was what it was in Darlington today. So that track temp is actually pretty spot on as far as what the temp is. I will let JC tell us a little bit more about that.
Oh, when you get a track temp that high, especially here at Darlington, it can make things real difficult for these drivers tonight, especially off of turn 2. It's really going to be slick there, so that's one place you got to watch tonight. And also, trying to control the heat of the tires is another thing, too, because having a track temp this hot can also accelerate the tire wear.
Yeah, 100%. This is going to be a tough track to drive on no matter what. I mean, it doesn't really matter. You know, the temperature, of course, does matter quite a bit. But, I mean, either way, you could have a 60-degree track temp, and this track would still be incredibly difficult. I mean, that wall comes up so fast. And, I mean, it is you call that getting the Darlington stripe. That's the only track really on the NASCAR schedule that has a name for when you hit the wall. So it's going to be a tough one. These drivers are going to have to really be walking on eggshells in order to keep the tires underneath them and stay out of the outside wall. Very difficult to pass. 1 and 2, that is not the place you're going to be wanting to make passes. And if you do try to make a pass through 1 and 2, you have got a lot of courage, gentlemen, in order to try to do that. Let's take a quick look at the points, though, coming into tonight's race. And, of course, Matt DeCiani at the top of the board right now. He has 13 points over Patrick Gitter at the moment. Of course, Brian Johnson, he's in 3rd place in the points. Derek Heitman, he sits in 4th. Brandon Pasalacqua is in 5th. Randy Mullins had a very good race last week. Of course, Clayton Hoffman, I do believe, was able to get the victory. But Randy was able to put up a valiant fight. Abner Acosta sits in 7th. Miller Bonds is in 8th. Josh Schaffner 9th. Kyle Holden is in 10th. Definitely excited to see. We heard Clayton said he was going to be racing for the rest of the season. Wonder if he's going to be here tonight, Big Al.
No, I don't know, man. I hope so, though, because we need to keep the talent up. But one thing, though, if he doesn't show up, Brian, that's going to put a lot of drivers in a unique position to actually be able to maybe win one.
Yeah, that's going to be an interesting point to make for sure. You know, you could have a chance to win one if Clayton's not here. But then again, I mean, even if Clayton's not here, there's a whole host of other really fast guys to replace him. I mean, we saw even last week that Clayton was not unbeatable. I do want to mention we do have a substitute driver going to be showing up here tonight. That is Paul Brigoli. Very familiar name. Used to actually drive for Team Watson Racing setups so definitely very much familiar with this driver. Very talented. The 83, he's going to be actually subbing for Tim Wortman Jr., so that's a very big substitution there. And I think this is kind of becoming a trend where we're seeing drivers substitute other top-tier drivers. It's kind of interesting to see that.
And yeah, there's absolutely nothing wrong with pimping your roster if that's what you got to do, especially when you get to some of those unique tracks like Darlington. Another place that you're probably going to see drivers do that is when we get to some of the road courses. Yeah, it gives you an opportunity to, instead of just taking an L, to actually still get some points.
Yeah, for sure. Now, of course, they don't get the playoff points and whatnot, but I do believe we have a extra long national anthem here today, so we're going to go ahead and take a step away, play that national anthem. We'll come right back with your starting grid here at Darlington.
Race fans, it is time for those most famous words in motorsports. Driver, start your engine!
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the iRacing Stock Car Association Super Cup Series. Here we are. Of course, we have the starting grid here this evening, I do believe, all ready and set to go. Looks like I do believe going to be starting on the pole is Brandon Pasalacqua, running a 29.474. Of course, Dylan Banks going to be starting in second place. Very good qualifying effort from this driver. Of course, third place going to be Paul Brigoli. First qualifying attempt in the ISCA lands him third. Of course, Kyle Holden, he's going to be starting in fourth. Jeremy Sumter had really good qualifying all season. He starts in fifth. Jose Medina in sixth place. Seventh place going to be Josh Schaffner. Darren Mullins starts in eighth. Ninth place going to be Randy Mullins, and Brian Johnson rounds out the top 10.
That's going to put Bolin Blair Holloman in 11th with Abner Acosta going to be starting on his outside, and 12th, 13th shows Mark Sanchez with Paul Hill on his outside in 14th. Then we get to Alexander Carr, who's having a pretty dismal season. Hopefully he can get back on it, and he's going to be starting in 15th with Chris D. Johnson. And 16th, 17th shows Greg Wachinski with Matthew Cisna on his outside. And then Jay Hoon and Nick Kling round out the top 20.
Frank Flores is going to be starting in 21st. Greg Carr going to be starting 22nd. Of course, 23rd, Kenny Powell. Paul Olson is going to be starting in 24th there. It looks like we have a little bit of a discrepancy. It says 24th, but I think that's actually a little bit of a problem there. We'll do apologize. Let that in. It actually just appeared that Kenny Powell is actually starting in 23rd. Of course, Andrew. Yeah, we're having a little bit of a discrepancy. Actually, Paul Olson starts in 24th. Randy Drumhiller, 25th. 26th, John Bender. Derek Jacobs in 27th. Do apologize. We had a little bit of a technical issue there. But no harm, no foul. The racing is going to come to you. Look at all these throwbacks. That's what I'm excited about tonight, Big Al, is the throwbacks. I mean, that's what Darlington is famous for, especially in this Mother's Day race, Mother's Day weekend race.
Yeah, no, I love it. There was a time I remember when NASCAR would not race on Mother's Day, but those days are long gone. It's time to bring those boys back to the racetrack. Brian, you know what? I bet you're excited because these guys, you could probably hear the rumble from your front doorstep.
That's right. I could definitely hear them for sure. Love the paint schemes, though. Looking at Brandon Pasalac, we got the, I do believe, Stro Light machine. I do believe that is a Mark Martin throwback. As he is going to be, of course, he steps away for just a second. I do believe making some last-second adjustments to the setup. This is a tough track, ladies and gentlemen. This is going to be very difficult to nail the setup. I mean, especially with how hot it is. One side of this racetrack is completely different than the other. Of course, Ramsey's Pond back in the day when this racetrack was under construction forced them to make it into an egg-shaped racetrack. And that has caused one end of the track to be completely different than the other. That plays havoc on the crew chief.
Yeah, but once you get used to this track, though, you got to learn to race it. But it's one of those tracks where I think either you love it or you hate it. It just looks so deceiving because it seems like there's so much room. Yet that racing groove, it's just really, really slim. I mean, this is probably about the only time you're going to see drivers go 2x2 tonight, right?
Now, this next-gen machine is a little bit better about being side-by-side at Darlington, but you are exactly right. I mean, 1 and 2, especially in turn 1 and 2, it's almost impossible to be side-by-side without there being some sort of contact. It's incredibly difficult. I mean, you want to race this whole racetrack. I mean, very narrow groove. But I think we're going to see these guys definitely push the limits here. Of course, we are rolling, getting ready to get this thing underway. Brandon Pasalac set to lead us to green. Now, the leader is going to have, I think, the greatest advantage here at the beginning. Now, will everybody stay side by side going into 1 and 2? I think it's going to be a lot of like a game of chicken here at the beginning. JC, do you have any experience with this track?
Yeah, usually for me is if I'm on the outside or inside, like I usually try to want to get single file before like you get into that first turn. If you're not, you try to quickly get there as quick as possible because you don't want to be side-by-side coming off turn 2.
Well, we're getting ready to see what's going to happen here as the pace car has dipped down pit road at Darlington Raceway. And Brandon Pasalac into the Geico restart zone. Green flag already issues for Pasalac. We have wrecking immediately at the beginning of the race. Pasalac with some major handling woes as he pressed the gas. I'm wondering, we're going to have to take some major replays because the six is definitely the originator of this caution. He was the leader. This is absolutely crazy, guys. Look at this. All of a sudden, the car just goes to the right. Have you ever seen anything like that on new tires?
Yes, hooking to the left or the right is just kind of weird on the restart, especially like you said with fresh tires. But Greg Wachinski, Paul Hill, those two guys, the dreaded repairs required flag. Paul Bergoli, he has just a standard black flag. I mean, so it already has started, Brian. Thus,
we got to look through the cockpits here. I got to look through the cockpit of Brandon Pasalac and see what happened. Because I mean, he's the leader. If anybody has no issue on the start, it should be him. So we take a look here. Oh, and I think it was it was something to do with him shifting. I think he made a mistake on the initial green flag was in possibly the wrong gear. JC, what is your take on this?
Yeah, this track is really slick when you start a race. So if you're definitely in the wrong gear, which it looked like he might have been in the wrong gear, and yeah, you're just going to spin it the minute you hit that throttle. So you always got to be careful starting this track.
Well, let's not take his word for it. Why don't we bring Brandon up and talk to him and see what happened? Brandon, we got you up here in the booth. I hope we're not bothering you. What just happened?
Yeah, that was totally my fault. My apologies to the leader or to everybody in the field. The track's so hot, I wasn't sure if I'd be in first gear or second gear restart. Outside pole went in first, and so I dropped down last second and then just missed the upshift there. So that's totally my bad, a rookie mistake. So I apologize to everybody.
Yeah, definitely. I don't think we've ever seen anything like that on the initial green. So it was just some issues with the shifting that caused that for sure. How's the damage?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I was going to come down pit road there and get it taken a look at, but I was about to get lapped by the pace car. So we're going to come down here and see what we have. But, yeah, that's just super embarrassing, and I knew better to start in first gear, but that's what I get for making a second call.
Well, hopefully everything works out better for you. I know that track position is incredibly valuable here at Darlington, so hopefully you're able to get some of it back. Good luck to you, Brandon.
Thanks, Brian. Appreciate it.
Well, that explains it. So it was driver error, gentlemen, and that is probably a first for the likes of Brandon Pasalaco. Usually very cool under pressure, doesn't make too many mistakes. So you could tell he's kicking himself over that one, guys.
Yeah, absolutely, Brian. It's just unfortunate, especially so early in the race. But the good news is some of these drivers will be able to get that damage fixed. Fortunately, Darlington's not a track that's really aero dependent. So as long as she's not leaking any fluids, man, these guys should be able to stay in contention, right?
We'll see. I mean, I don't know. I think that aero dependent, I think the corners at this track are, you have to have good handling. And if you have anything that breaks the downforce of your machine, it can affect your handling. But I mean, it just really depends. It could even help you. You never know. I mean, I've seen, times where damage can actually help the race car. So we'll see how this all works out. But I'll tell you who got handed a golden ticket was Kyle Holden. He's up in the lead right now. And I do believe we'll see the pace car lights go out here very shortly. I think we saw Jeremy Sumter had some heavy front end damage, and you even mentioned that there were some that had required repairs after that incident. So, I mean, you got to know that Brandon's probably kicking himself over that one.
Yeah, definitely, man. And, like you said, Brandon's a guy that's always cool, calm, and collected. It's just, and he said it was a rookie mistake, but I don't think that's going to be the first mistake that we have here. The track temperature, really hot here. I think it's going to cause these cars to, especially when the tires start to wear out.
Oh, you best believe it. I mean, when the tires start to wear out, we're going to start to see these guys wiggling and going all over the place. You love to say big wiggles. You're going to say it a lot tonight, Big Al. And I think that we just saw some big wiggles even on the start. So if that's a precursor, I think, if anything, of what we should expect to see here tonight at Darlington. I mean, I watched a race earlier this week on Tuesday. That was the NASCAR Trucks Series cars. Or vehicles on Darlington, and they had over 2 seconds of fall off. And I think that's going to be the case here tonight as well. As the pace car is down pit road, Kyle Holden, let's see if he can manage to get a start going here as we're getting ready to enter the Geico restart zone. And here we go. Green flag back out in the air. Kyle waits until the absolute last possible moment to go. But he is able to get it up through the gears. Very great start there from Brian Johnson. Loving that Budweiser paint scheme there. Loving all the throwbacks we're seeing here. You can see, of course, the skull machine from the 59 of Kyle Holden. Here comes Brian Johnson already challenging for the lead into 3 and 4. And I think Brian might have the pass completed. But here comes a big run back to the inside possibly from Kyle Holden. Not quite. I think Kyle's going to stay behind the 4.
I think that's a smart choice right now at this time, though, because like you said, some of these corners are going to be pretty tricky. And right now, a lot of these drivers, I don't think it's going to take long to get the tires up to 10. JC, what are some of the disadvantages they're going to face here with a track temp that's so high?
Well, with this track already, that kind of like destroys tires every lap. And with the hot temp, you get like accelerated tire wear because your tires are going to be hotter than normal. So basically, you want to try to keep your pace a little bit slower just to alleviate from that problem there.
And I do believe we see Greg Wychinski slow on the bottom. I do believe he's actually coming back onto the racetrack after fixing the required repairs on that machine. Of course, Brian Johnson out in front. He's running the fastest laps on the racetrack right now, 29.790. That's kind of concerning, though. I don't want to go incredibly fast early here. I think this is a track you can serve. You maintain a gap. But then again, Big Al, you always talk about it in these stages. This is the time to see what the data is going to look like, and I think that's exactly what Brian Johnson's trying to do right now.
Yeah, you got to kind of push it a little bit, man, because that's the way you're going to get the rewards in that second stage, and also to tell you how hard you need to push it in the third stage as well, because hopefully we'll have green flag pit stops. But speaking of that, guys, what is the over-under on cautions for this week's race?
Well, we've already seen one. I don't know. I got to be honest. I want to say it's just going to stay at that one because Darlington is a track that cautions are actually really rare because of that fact you mentioned earlier about the racing group being so narrow. So usually when an accident happens at Darlington, it goes below the apron and no caution comes out.
And I'm going to say like 3 because usually off these restarts, come off turn 2, someone usually slides into the wall and then bounces to another car and collects others.
And that could very well happen for sure. Big Al, what are you thinking?
I'm going to stick to. I'm going to say 3.
So both of you saying 3. I'm saying 1. I think we've already had our caution.
Stop. Big Al's going to say deuce. I'm going to go with 2, Brian.
Okay. Brian Johnson, though, out front right now. Kyle Holden, of course, a half a second back. Blair Holloman, he's up to 3rd. This is probably the highest running we've seen the 10. And what a track to be doing that at as we're looking. I do believe that's the 29 of Mark Sanchez. That's one thing that's so difficult about Darlington is all these guys are in throwback machines. And it's hard to tell who's who. Usually we can recognize the car fairly easy. But, of course, Mark Sanchez is in, I do believe, a Kevin Harvick throwback.
Wow, it's hard to believe that we're talking about Kevin Harvick and saying throwback in the same sentence, But wow, it's been 20-plus years since old Kev rolled into the scene here.
That's right. I mean, he is one of the veterans, and of course now has made his way up into the broadcast booth. Of course, I'm watching Chris Johnson. He's in the 56. He's got a little bit of a Subway paint scheme going on. Of course, we're watching, I do believe, some battling going on between. I do believe you see Abner Acosta trying to work his way through the field. Abner's in 21st at the moment, trying to fight with, I do believe, if I'm not mistaken, that is Nick King ahead of him.
Yeah, so here's the question. Why are we assuming that Abner is so far back? Is this a classic save strategy, or do you think that the temperatures really, kind of slipped him a Mickey?
Well, I don't know. I mean, knowing Abner knows what he's doing. This guy does not. He doesn't come to a race unprepared. Usually, I mean, he shows up and especially at a track like Darlington. I mean, this is a track that would suit, I think, a driver like Abner Acosta. He's a road course specialist, and this track has some similarities to a road course. I mean, both ends of the track are different. It takes a lot of finesse to get around this place. So I feel like Abner probably knows what he's doing. He's probably saving tire. I think that's what his plan is. He knows that later in this run, we still have 20 laps to go in this stage. That's when it's going to start to come to him. But so we'll have to wait and see. I do want to point to the 6 of Brandon Pasolaco. Of course, we saw him as the pole sitter. Made a huge mistake. He has not let that affect him too much. He is back up in the running. He's actually up to 13th at the moment. I do believe fighting with Jay Hone. You can see him right there. So I love the 6. Not really letting that, I'd say, hurt him. You could dwell on that mistake and really just like give up emotionally or mentally, but he's still at it. He's chomping at the bit, keeping at it.
No, you can't do that. He has to do exactly what he did. You got to change those feelings like a pair of tires out here, man. Because
I love that.
Don't dwell on it, and that's what he did. He said his apologies But, and then he got right back down there and he said, guys, this race just started. It wasn't a deep hole for him or any of the other drivers. I believe all of that damage could be repaired just because it was such a low speed kind of collision. Although the 5 of Greg Wachinski, he's still not finding any fortune because he's still down on pit road.
And that's one of the things about it. I mean, Brandon feels bad about the guys that got I'd say collateral damage that got yellow flag is out. Now I guess I'm wrong. I thought we were going to have a green flag for longer than this, but it looks like we have had a caution.
I'm looking to see what actually is going on. Not sure where.
I have no idea.
The 8 car. Let's check the 8.
I do believe the 8 is Frank Flores, so we might see something happening here with him. You see, of course, Andrew Griesbaum going up the racetrack, and the 8 and him meeting. And look at that, Abner able to scoot right on through without really getting involved. And we're watching on. Well, that's not a good view. You don't want to see a driver pointing your like that. I mean, that's like going to sleep in the passenger seat of a car, and somebody's towing an 18-wheeler. And it's like it's looking right at you when you wake up. That's unfortunate.
Unfortunately, what's unfortunate is Frank Flores and Dylan Banks are both going to be recipients of that dreaded repairs required flag. Greg Wachinski has his fix, but yet I think he stepped away from the car. I don't know if he's going to actually put any more laps out. We're going to see if Frank jumps back on that horse or not.
Yeah, and you can see, I'll tell you exactly what caused this accident. Griesbaum was trying to make a pass in 1 and 2, and that is incredibly difficult to make happen. I mean, you could see that Frank was having a tough time keeping it up close to the wall. 1 and 2 is the fastest part of this racetrack, and you're flying through there. And one little mistake I think you even mentioned it earlier, JC, that you can get really loose in 1 and 2 because of how fast it is. I would not be surprised that Frank got a little bit loose up there and Andrew Griesbaum got a little bit tight, and they just met in the middle there.
And also, I'll add this too. When you're 1 and 2 side by side, and that's why I said you have to sort that out before you get to the middle of the corner, because when the car starts unloading, you don't want to be side by side, and that's kind of what happened there.
Did you guys imagine if this track were the same in 3 and 4, if it is in 1 and 2?
Yeah, I don't think it'd have the character that it does. I think that's what makes Darlington such a memorable track, and it's a part of NASCAR history because of the odd shape that it is. I mean, this place is very unique. There's not another track like it. And look at that. You can see the massive damage on the front end of Frank Flores, and his day is probably going to be done. And that's unfortunate. Such a tough track. And there is no room for error at Darlington. I mean, I got to be honest, I feel unfortunate that this is my home track. Usually, you go to a home track, if you have a home track, you want to win at that home track, and I don't have any hope of winning in this place because you don't luck into a win at Darlington. It just doesn't happen.
Yeah, that's true, because I'm smack dab in the middle of Talladega and Nashville, and I think, I just say Talladega because I live in Alabama, but I have won at Talladega, so.
And that's a track that I've won at, too. And it's if I had a home track but I mean, but in a way, I'm happy that it's my home track because,
But you don't have a win at your home track, though, Brian. So that's you can't, that's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
I hope that one day you can get one.
I mean, it's going to take a lot of work. It's going to take a lot of work, a lot of practice. This track takes so much seat time, and you could. That's the thing about Darlington. You can be fast for 1 lap.
What about NASCAR?
Doesn't matter.
You could probably get a win over there.
Probably could. But I mean, you could be fast for 1 lap at Darlington, but you have to be fast for the whole run. You got to be able to maintain, and this is old school NASCAR at its finest.
This definitely is.
You have to put together a whole run. This is not like, hey, I'm the fastest guy. No, you have to be. You have to manage your resources.
This is one of those old tracks. Hey, who's the 24th row back? Is that for Darrell Waltrip? Who was the old Mountain Dew driver?
Not quite sure. Mountain Dew. I think that is Darrell Waltrip. I think you're right. Looking at it now, that is a good one. Kenny Powell rocking the, I think Darrell Waltrip. We'll have to ask him about if that's who that is. So here we go. Pace car down pit road and getting set to go back racing here at Darlington. As Brian Johnson takes us up into the Geico restart zone. Green flag is back out. And a good restart there from Brian. He pulls out. He's going to be for single file into 1 and 2. And Blair Holloman making a smart call to back off of Kyle Holden. You can see Kenny Powell working his way forward. I'll tell you, Powell has looked, I was getting ready to say something good about Kenny Powell, but then he got really loose. And now he's side by side with ex-teammate Chris Johnson. Powell up into the outside wall as they were 3 wide for a moment.
Looks like
Somehow,
Kenny's getting his stripe early.
Yeah, he definitely just got his Darlington stripe as Darren Mullins tries to get clear. And already, look at Brandon Pasalacqua. I'll tell you, Pasalacqua has been probably the biggest mover. He definitely knows how to pass here at Darlington, and that's saying something. Starting to see a little bit of some issues, I do believe, from the 18 of Alexander Carr. He was getting a little bit wiggly. Matthew Cisna. Big problem.
We got
Somebody
back
just
into
smashed the wall.
Also, that person, I don't know, they seem to be gone, but we're still wrecking. Huge check up there by Josh Schaffner. That caused him to get rear-ended.
That was Paul Hill that just went nose first into the outside wall. He's back in 24, still running. That's going to be a hard lick for him.
Yeah, that's definitely not the kind of shots you want to take this early on. Paul Hill, recipient of the dreaded meatball flag, so that's definitely going to put a big dent in his day, Brian.
We're watching right here, seeing exactly what happened to Paul. And, of course, Paul, I do believe, might have been reacting to what was going on ahead of him. And I think maybe just possibly tried to avoid a crash ahead of him and unfortunately became a crash of his own.
Yeah, man,
we're starting to stack these. We're starting to stack these cars up on pit road. That is not what we were intending. But hey, look, no caution, right?
Yeah, no caution. Just crazy to see this, the way this race is going so far. I mean, all season long in the ISCA, we've seen clean race after clean race, and it seems like Darlington is kind of a little bit of a scary ordeal for these drivers right now.
Yeah. To go back to that question about the Mountain Dew drivers, man, it goes all the way back from drivers like Darrell Waltrip, Richard Childress, J.D. McDuffie, Bill Schmidt, Casey Atwood, Jeremy Mayfield, Casey King, Dale Earnhardt Jr., Reagan Smith, Juan Pablo Montoya, and Kyle Larson. Sorry.
That's interesting. So all those drivers known for rocking the Mountain Dew scheme.
Yeah, those are all the drivers of the Mountain Dew paint scheme.
How about that? Matthew Cisna, of course, racing, I do believe, Jay Holm. We see that on the screen right now. He's battling for 15th at the moment. Mark Sanchez just made a pass on Kenny Powell. Has moved up into 9th place. So that 29 Reese's machine moving up through the field. Of course, ahead of him, I do believe we see Chris Johnson battling with Jose Medina. Medina, of course, in the 48. I do believe Lowe's machines. That's quite a throwback right there.
If there were a time to go, it would be go time now, Brian. We'll be coming up to 5 laps to go in stage 1. And wow, what an eventful stage it has been.
Oh, 100%. Look at Brandon Pasalacqua, guys. I just want to point at this guy. This guy started on the pole. He of course, made a huge mistake at the beginning of this race. He's already back up into 5th. This guy is flying right now. I think there's no wonder he qualified on the pole. This guy knows how to get around this place.
Who else was just flying was Mark Sanchez. He had a head of steam, almost found himself in a 3-wide situation, Brad. Had to check up, and it all but took the wind out of his sail.
Here comes Randy Mullins. Randy Mullins starting to battle with Kyle Holden. They're fighting for 2nd place at the moment. As here comes Mullins sitting inside. Love that Mark Martin Valvoline paint scheme. That's a classic. And there goes Randy Mullins, able to get the pass completed. I'll tell you who's been on fire here as of late, the 54. I mean, Randy has been looking so good, and I think he's looking probably better than he has all season right now today. I mean, he finished, I do believe, second or third. I can't remember where he finished at last week, but I know he was incredibly good. Kyle Holden just got into the wall. You guys just saw that. Of course, he lost a lot of time as a result. But here we go, coming up to, I do believe, 3 laps to go in stage 1. Right now, Brian Johnson in control. But for how long? Randy Mullins has ran down our leader and is going to challenge for stage 1.
Yeah, Alexander Carr just got stumped by Sumter, and that was for a points position. Carr had to actually check up the deep from actually causing a conflict. But I think if he doesn't put the hammer down, Brian, that's probably going to cost him a playoff point.
Yeah, could very well be the case. Those playoff points very, very important. And Alexander Carr's had a fairly consistent season as Randy Mullins tries to go to battle with his teammate. Here he goes to the inside. Look at Randy go. I mean, this guy knows how to get around Darlington. You can clearly see that as they are side by side in 3 and 4. And I think Randy going to get the run right when he needs to. Is he going to get clear? He does. Man, this guy is flying around Darlington. I'm telling you, who just went to the top of the board for who I think could win this race. But then again, he's got to put the whole run together. That third stage is going to be a difficult monster to conquer. As this is the final lap of stage number 1, Randy Mullins coming down the backstretch. He's going to go into 3 and 4 uncontested. And he will win stage number 1. Randy Mullins in that Mark Martin scheme, showing how Mark Martin would have performed here at Darlington. And there's the yellow flag. Brian Johnson, of course, comes home in 2nd place. Kyle Holden in 3rd. Brandon Pastelak will work his way all the way back up to 4th. I got to give him a round of applause for that. Darren Mullins, 5th. Chris Johnson, 6th. Mark Sanchez, 7th. Jeremy Sumter in 8th. Blair Holloman, 9th. Alexander Carr rounds out the top 10. And those are all, of course, our points-paying positions. We're going to take a quick step away. We'll be right back, and we'll talk to Randy Mullins.
It's gonna get hot today. Grab an ice-cold sun drop and show us how you drop it.
Drop it like it's hot. Drop it like it's hot. Drop it like it's hot.
And drop it.
'Cause I got it going on. Drop it like it's hot. Drop it like it's hot. Drop it like it's hot.
A thirst-quenching citrus soda just dropped coast to coast. Sun Drop.
That's how you drop it.
Drop it like it's hot. Drop it like it's hot.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the ISCA Super Cup Series. We're at Darlington Raceway. What a fantastic event it has been thus far. Of course, Randy Mullins wins the race on pit road. We're going to go ahead and grab him up.
That used to be my
Randy,
job.
we got him up here in the booth. Randy Mullins, loving that Mark Martin paint scheme, man, and you look like you're driving like Mark Martin here tonight. How you doing, Randy?
I'm doing good, Brian. How about yourself?
Oh, I'm doing good, man. How did you prepare for Darlington? It seems like you got you a hot rod underneath you.
Man, I just made a lot of laps. Needing to put in some time. You only get out what you put in, but I ain't had speed all year, so I got to find it somewhere.
I don't know if that's the. I don't agree, to be honest with you. Last week at Kansas, you were really, really strong. So I got to disagree with you, Randy. I mean, you were putting up a fight with Clayton last week, and I think you got a good, solid chance at winning this one here this week. I mean, Darlington's one of the toughest tracks on the schedule. What do you do to prepare? I mean, just turn laps?
Yeah, that's all it is turn laps. And then this track tonight is extremely hot, so you have to back your pace off because the car's not doing what it's done all week. So I know guys have made adjustments and stuff, so we'll see how this stage goes.
All right. Well, definitely excited to see what you can do for the rest of the stage. Of course, Randy, it seems like you got this place figured out. Hopefully you're able to lock you in a victory here tonight. Who can we give a shout out after your stage 1 victory?
I need to thank all my teammates at Paradigm, Brian, Chris, Josh, Brandon, naturally you and Big Al up in the booth, Kenny putting on the league, and hopefully I found a little something, so maybe we'll get to talk again at the end of the night.
We definitely hope so, Randy. We're rooting for you. Good luck.
All right, buddy. Thank you. How's that car look, though? Does it look good from up there?
Oh, it looks fantastic. I love that Valvoline paint scheme. The only thing that would make it look better if it had a 6 on it.
I agree. All right, buddy. Thank you.
All righty. That was Randy Mullins. And don't you guys agree that paint scheme looks pretty good?
Yeah, it's just missing a blue oval.
But, of course, Randy Mullins saying, what we've already kind of figured, that the track temp is really affecting the handling and the tire wear, saying you have to just back up the pace. But did it seem like he was backing off the pace, guys? It didn't seem like it to me. He was fast.
I mean, to me, it did not look like it, but you just never know because everybody's trying to save.
Yeah, I think he was backing up his corners a little bit. I think that's what he meant.
And that might have been why he was so fast on the longer run, because he was kind of taking it easy a little bit more than others.
Yeah, and another thing that he said, guys, that I think really plays into what we were talking about, the data that everybody collected after that first stage.
100%. Here we go, though. Barney, the pace car driver, down pit road as we get ready to go back. Green flag racing here. Randy Mullins into the Geico restart zone, and the green flag is back out. And Mullins able to get clear and slides up right in front of Kyle Holden. Of course, Kyle Holden able to defend against Brian Johnson. One driver that just entered the top 5 is Jeremy Sumter. He goes to battle right now with Brandon Pasalacqua.
Yeah, Sumter's definitely been on a little bit of a march. Like I said, he was right there in the top 10 at the end of that stage. Now got himself a better position, so we're going to be watching him, see if he can keep that kind of pace and consistency, Brian. Got a big wiggle there later back in the pack.
Yeah, that was actually Abner Acosta. Abner Acosta got really wiggly back there in 15th. He, I do believe, let the 11 of Matthew Cisna go as a result.
Cisna wiggles a little bit. And that's just telling you, these guys are on, new cold, hot tires. So
battle for the lead. Kyle Holden attacking Randy Mullins here. And Kyle Holden trying to make the pass up on the top side as they go side by side into 1 and 2. Randy goes up the track, but it looks like Kyle is going to get clear. That was a scary ordeal. You do not want to be side by side in 1 and 2.
Yeah, echoing what JC was saying, exactly what you saw happen is once that car started to load, they had figured it out, and it looked like Kyle Holden was going to be the faster of the two. Now he is our race leader.
And, of course, he was our race leader earlier in the show, but did relinquish it to Brian Johnson, but now he's back up into clean air. Let's see if he can stay there. Now, of course, clean air, very, very important at this racetrack.
And it's one of those. Well, it's just one of those things now because drivers were actually able to go back. They were actually able to look at the tire wear, figuring out how hard they drove the car and how much it sucked at the end of that run. That they're able to make adjustments to come out here and do that. So, but I think you're on to something. I think tonight we're going to be looking at it's going to be the Kyle Holden and the Randy Mullins show. Definitely, you can tell that Randy put in a lot of laps there going around here in practice, which usually means his teammates did the same. So, be interested to see how the Paradigm guys shape up.
Yeah, right now, if I had to guess, I'd say the Paradigm drivers are the strongest here tonight, and they were, in a lot of ways, some of the strongest last week. I mean, they have been really turning up the heat. I do believe, and one thing I want to keep in point to is that Matt DeCiani, Patrick Gitter, Derek Heitman, they are absent today. Where are they? Who knows?
Is that Conti?
That's Team Conti, yeah. That's kind of curious that they're not here tonight. I don't know if maybe – I know Road to Pro is tonight. Maybe Road to Pro went a little bit long, so they weren't able to actually make this event here tonight. If so, that's kind of a letdown for all the fans. But still, I mean, that's also an opportunity for some points because, the top 10 spots, a lot of those positions are belonging to Team Conti. Maybe not for long.
Yeah, no, it's like you say, Brian, you got to make hay when the sun's shining. So some driver, they got to get up there tonight and try to figure it out and got to get in the top 10. You got to do it in this stage, especially if you didn't get it done in the last, because those stage points, man, we talk about this all the time, they matter. They add up. And without them, man, you're just really missing all of your bonuses and your tips.
Yeah, no, you're 100% right. You got to get those stage points. I mean, and this is it's going to add up. At the end of the season, when you really desperately need them, you're going to look back at races like this and be like, well, I didn't show up for that race, so that's why I'm not a championship contender. So, no, this is a big day for the Paradigm guys. I think this is going to be a big paradigm shift in a lot of ways for those guys. But Kyle Holden right now in control, running the fastest laps on the racetrack right now. Everybody else seems to be kind of backing it down a little bit on the pace. I like what I'm seeing from some of these drivers that are really kind of not trying to be as fast. And I think that's the key to Darlington. You really don't want to set blistering record laps. You want to kind of just manage your tires. And so we'll see if that's going to be something that hurts some of these drivers or not.
Yeah, I think a lot of drivers got punched right in the mouth on that last stage, because you can't, I mean, it's the track temp right now is still 116 degrees. They're getting very to little reprieve from that. You know what I mean? You just got to deal with it. And they're going to be in the car having to deal with the fact that they're blistering the heck out of their tires. And those Goodyears, they don't do good when they're hot. We were talking about that in the booth earlier before before the race. JC, aren't you glad you're not down there tonight?
Yeah, because usually this track is one of my worst, so I would definitely be exploding tires if I was racing tonight.
Yeah, I think this track is a lot of people's worst. I mean, you either love this track or you hate it, and it's just because it's the track too tough to tame. I mean, it is not easy at all. It's the lady in black. She is a mean mistress. I'll tell you that.
Yeah. You said something though right there, JC, and I didn't even think about that, but you think maybe we might see a tire explode tonight?
No, I kind of doubt that because the drivers here in this field are usually talented enough to not make that problem happen. Now, the only ones that could make it happen is the ones that suffered damage early and maybe did not get all their damage fixed, where their toe lengths are probably bent a little bit, and that will really play a factor in your right front tire wear.
Okay, we'll see.
Yeah, we'll definitely see. I mean, especially with the heat. I mean, I think it is possible, but I think I kind of am weighing on the side of JC, leaning on the side of JC, that it probably won't happen. A lot of these drivers probably prepared quite a bit. As, of course, we see Kyle Holden in the midst of a fight for the lead. I think Randy Mullins getting ready to attack here, as I think we're watching Kenny Powell's screen.
Everybody, Brian, though, that no one's ran 122 temperature track this week. Everybody's been running about 100 and 101. Is that correct?
Yeah, as far as I understand, that's correct too. Yeah, the temperatures have not been this hot this whole week. So, but again, the drivers in this field, we've done it before where we've ran on hotter temperatures and dealt with these tire conditions. And so we adjust to it like really well and just move on.
A lot of times, I gotta say, I mean, that's one of the differences about this series versus other series, and I think that you see in the officials, a little bit calmer temperatures, but in the ISCA, a lot of times it's vastly different than the official series is, and that is why I think the cream of the crop when it comes to drivers are here in the ISCA because they can adapt to things like that. I mean, I know, usually if you were in that kind of a situation, you'd probably just be complaining about it. But these guys kind of, pick themselves up by the bootstraps and get after it. Here, as of course, we're watching, I do believe that is Kenny Powell making the pass there, I do believe, on Jose Medina. As you can see, I do believe Andrew Griesbaum right there as well. A little bit of a wiggle there from Griesbaum.
That's pretty far back in the pack there. If you got the 27 car, Derek Jacobs, he just slowly going to be coming into the fray. And that's going to cause the first issue for Kyle Holden and Randy Mullins tonight is for the first time they're actually going to start to deal with a little bit of lap traffic. And unfortunately, guys, we've got about 33 laps to go in this stage. They are going to catch Derek Jacobs. There's no doubt about it. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when.
And I hate to correct you, we actually got 23 laps to go here in this stage. But, yeah, no, you're exactly right. Lap traffic is probably the worst thing at this racetrack. As here we go, I do believe we got a battle for fourth place. Jeremy Sumter sending it in on Passalacqua is going to be able to make that pass on the exit of turn number 4. He slides up into Passalacqua. Passalacqua does get a good run to the back bumper of the 52. But I do believe Sumter does have that position sewn up and now has moved up to fourth. But, yeah, no, lap traffic. Kyle Holden, when he gets up to this lap car, it is going to be quite difficult to deal with. I mean, and I got to say it's difficult for the lap car guys as we see a battle going on for second place. Brian Johnson making a big move to the inside.
And I am a fine product of the North Carolina public school system, Brian, so you don't worry about my math.
It's a wonder that I got it right. I mean, I'm always usually messing up too. But no, what I mean about the guy that's getting past the lap car, it's kind of a scary ordeal for that driver because you don't know where to go to get out of the way. JC, I mean, what do you think? I mean, if you're a lap car and you're getting past at Darlington, where do you go? Where is safe to go?
Usually, if I get lapped, I try to go like to the way inside, like from the apron on the straightaways to make it happen. Like kind of like just back off, let him go, and then come back on the track and keep going. As far as corners, but
in the corner, that's a different story.
Yeah,
it's
if you're in the corners, you just have to hope that everybody can basically just take it easy yourself, let the faster cars around you, and just stay up high against the wall.
So Derek did go low. He got out of the leader's way. Now either he's got to make a decision now, guys, because he has the whole field coming by him. So either he's going to get back up on pace or looks like he's going to fall back to the tail end of the lead lap as a lap down car. So, hey, appreciate you, Derek, for getting out of the way, man.
And this is just such a tough track. I mean, I hate to keep reiterating that, but it's so true. I mean, this place is incredibly difficult. And, if you're a lap car, you're going to get caught at the wrong position a lot of times. I mean, and this track, you just, as the leader, you have to be able to pick your battles when it comes to catching up to a lap car. Now, luckily, Kyle caught Derek in the straightaway. That was kind of the best way that could have worked. Now, for Derek, it didn't work out well because just like you mentioned, he doesn't have a place to jump up in front of someone. If he does, he could endanger them.
Yeah.
But this is just a scary place to be as we have a battle, I do believe, for 14th. Abner Acosta and Matthew Cisna going after it. Looks like I do believe Abner has taken over 14th and Cisna getting passed by possibly Kenny Powell as well.
Abner was having some wiggle issues earlier, so it seems that he's got a car going, looks like a little bit sideways there. But it seems that he's got those issues kind of resolved, so that would no longer be an issue. Issues resolved, so now there's no issue. Yep, I'm good.
And we're seeing a lot of fall off as well. Now, some drivers are kind of better than others. I'm looking at like Kyle Holden. He looks like he's got really good speed on the longer run. Some drivers do not have good speed on the long run. Jay Hone, 31.031. I mean, he's about 0.8 off of what the fastest guy's hitting right now. So, some drivers are struggling more than others. So I'm kind of curious to see how this is going to kind of play out. A lot of data is being poured over right now, and these guys got to figure out how to run stage 3. Because if they're struggling with stage 1 and 2, Big Al, there is no way they're going to make it through stage 3.
No,
There goes Sumter for a second.
I got a question for you, JC, real quick. There's a go time at tracks like Talladega, where there's like 10 laps to go, where you put the savings to the side and you just go all in. Is that the same here at this track?
Yeah, this track, you want to try to go about you want to give yourself more than 10 laps because it's hard to pass here as it is. So, as far as go time, you look about 15 to go and just got to hope that the tires can hold up by then and hope that the guy in front can push it more and waste it as much as you are.
Right now, it looks like Kyle Holden and Jeremy Sumter first and second right now. Team Watson Racing setups, it looks like 1-2 at the moment. Let's see if they're able to get a stage win here. Now, that's the thing about it. Team Conti and the Paradigm drivers seem to dominate this series, but it seems like another team has started to kind of, edge ahead, or not edge ahead, I should say, but come into the competition. And you love that about ISCA is that, you have so many different groups that are all coming to battle in this series. Don't you guys just love that?
Yeah, there was a time where we were really kind of down, and it seemed like it was
a wide.
It was a G&G show, but those days are gone now. Now there's multiple teams that are out there that could dominate on any given Saturday, Thursday.
I'm telling you, this is some drama back here. Jose Medina kind of got the best out of that whole situation, if I'm not mistaken. He was able to kind of scoot through and get by a lot of drivers. But we saw 3 somehow those guys kept it together. And of course, I love that, the Sun Drop machine, John Bender, he said this is the Sun Drop 250 here tonight. That's kind of appropriate, isn't it?
Yeah, but, Bender represents the north of the Carolinas, I do believe. But, hey, I love the Sun Drop. I love the Sun Drop theme. Snoop Dogg's doing is that a caution, a wreck district?
A yellow flag is out on the track. It looks like Greg Carr, I should say, and Andrew Griesbaum bringing out the yellow flag.
Right? Wasn't Griesbaum in a wreck earlier?
Yeah, he was. I do believe he was the one that was turned around the wrong way
earlier.
Just like that. Like that.
Making sure I wasn't crazy.
No, you're exactly right. He was involved in a crash earlier. And a big sin from Griesbaum. He kind of sends it on the 25 and I got to be honest, JC, there was no way he was going to make this work.
No, not here.
Like he tried to send it in. There was no way he was going to make that corner. I got to be honest.
Yeah, especially having to split 2 cars. I don't know what that move was about.
Yeah, I got to be honest. That was completely on the 78. I mean, he sent it in really hard in 1 and 2, and there's just no way that car was going to grip whenever he was, that much speed, and on the older tires as well. Another day though.
Sorry, Jesse, but just like the earlier conflict, Greg Wachinski took that, and now Griesbaum still no repairs required flag.
Now I was just going to add to it that for Griesbaum to make a move like that, there was really no reason for it, being that you're in the back of the field anyways. So you just finish out the stage and then make adjustments and hope for the best on the third stage. And now, if they was racing for stage points is one thing, but they're not even close to making a stage point.
That's a good point. If they were battling for stage points, I completely would understand that move. Because stage points are so valuable in this series, but that wasn't for that. I just got to be honest. I think it was just aggression, but I want to actually. Of course, we've been kind of beating up on Griesbaum a little bit here, and I'm the first one that was starting to beat up on him there. But I do want to defend him as well. This track brings that out of you, that aggression, because if you're stuck behind somebody for long enough, eventually you're going to be like, you know what? I'm going to send it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but this isn't pool. I mean, it's not like if I missed the corner shot, he just kind of called himself off of another car. I don't know if he did it intentionally, but with those two cars racing side by side, there really wasn't any room.
No, there definitely wasn't, for sure. I don't think there was a rational decision made there. I just think it was a frustrated kind of decision that kind of played in there. But interesting to note, it doesn't look like a lot of drivers elected to come down pit road. This is going to be kind of interesting to see how this plays out because these guys are on some older tires, and we could see wheel spin.
It's going to be a shootout right here, guys. That's what's getting ready to happen. I think it's going to be a 5-lap dash for the cash for the end of this stage, and I think you still have the probability of seeing another caution.
Oh, I mean, well, I want to point out the top 12 right now are on 35-lap old tires. Now, 13th, Brian Johnson, he was up in the top 5 not too long ago. He's on new tires. He did jump down pit road, grab a set of tires. I would not be surprised if Darlington is so bad about tire wear, so I would not be surprised. We're going to see Brian Johnson probably like way faster than the rest of this field.
But another
and that
thing
could cause a caution, you know.
Yeah. Another thing, though, guys, the temperature slowly come down. Now it's 109 degrees. This is what these guys are used to. The sun slowly setting there in that South Carolina sky. So the track temperature will get a little cooler. So I think it's going to come right into a lot of these guys' hands. They're just going to have to undo what they've done so far.
Pace car lights are out. Time to get this thing back underway. As, of course, Kyle Holden going to be starting on 35-plus lap old tires. Jeremy Sumter as well. I definitely think we're going to see some wheel spin here.
Most definitely there.
Going wheel spin. They're going to wheel spin. They will spin.
Yeah. They're going to, yeah, their wheels are going to spin, and they will spin. Yes, 100%. I don't doubt that that's going to happen. We're going to see, though, as here comes the pace car down pit road.
Another one of those gear selection.
This is going to be a tough one right here, guys, as we get ready to enter the Geico restart zone. Hopefully everybody is really patient here. Kyle Holden up to the gears. Not a bad start there. Looks like everybody able to get onto the gas pedal without too much issues.
Yeah, great start. Now it's time to go. So if you got fresh tires, you got to put them to work now.
And already you see Josh Schaffner capitalizing on Darren Mullins. He didn't have as great of a start. Abner Acosta is trying to work his way through the field. Of course, Brian Johnson, he's on the new tires, but he's being held up by these older tires. How patient is he going to be as we have 5 laps to go in stage 2?
No one's patient at this point. I mean, the 4 car now, he's ducking down to the inside. Worst case scenario, you got to break into the top 10. Brian Johnson doing just that now. He's in 9th place. And here he comes now around Nick King.
Yeah, in the 3 machine. That's a throwback if I ever saw one. Dale Earnhardt right there. Of course, Brian Johnson ripping it right around. He's going to be able to get by Mark Sanchez. And I just want to point this. Look how much faster he is, guys. I mean, this just shows
they're
you.
Standing still.
This shows you how much tires really help.
I mean, he's got a great run going, Brian. And you look, we still got 3 laps to go here before this stage is over. And he's not slowing down. He is making up ground. And his car's almost cutting through like with laser precision.
Well, that's the thing as well. He's got handling. Those new tires give you so much more handling and tools and options on where you can go. And he's using exactly that. I mean, he's about a half a second faster than the rest of the field at the moment as he's driving his way up to Randy Mullins' back bumper. Of course, Randy Mullins is... Oh, problems! 55, Abner Acosta. That is going to bring the caution flag out, and that is going to complete stage number 2. Wow. Abner Acosta, big problems.
But what would have been for Brian Johnson had that caution flag not come out when it did? He had already made himself up to 4th place, guys.
Of course, that is going to complete stage number 2 as we're watching to see exactly what happened. I think Jose Medina gets into the rear end of the 55 on the exit of turn number 2. And I do want to go ahead and go quickly down through the top 10, how they run at the moment. Jeremy Sumter, of course, our stage, well, I think actually Sumter was able to make the pass before the caution came out. So Sumter is our stage 2 winner. Kyle Holden, second place. Brandon Pasalacqua, third. Randy Mullins in fourth. Brian Johnson, fifth. John Schaffner, sixth. Darren Mullins, seventh. Mark Sanchez, eighth. Nick King, ninth. And Jose Medina rounds out the top 10. Let's take a quick step away. We'll be right back.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the ISCA Super Cup Series. We're going to be joined in the booth by Jeremy Sumter. Big Al standing by.
Hey, Jeremy, Big Al up in the booth. You got me?
All right, gotcha.
Congratulations on your stage 2 win.
Thank you.
So stage 1, stage 2, were they really similar, or were they really different?
They were about the same, but I mean, stage 1 was a wash with a big accident on the very start. Did about a minute and a half worth of damage, which I still got about 30 seconds to go.
Ooh, what are you thinking for stage 3? You think this thing's going to stay clean and green, or are you expecting a couple more cautions for us?
I don't expect any more cautions. I think we're good.
All right.
And the car is good, so.
You guys put a lot of laps in this week to get this thing ready to go?
We did. I did. A lot of practice here this week. I've not had the greatest luck since Bristol, so I wanted to come into this week feeling good.
Well, I definitely got a lot to feel good about bringing that thing home in P1 there for stage 2. Who are you going to shout out for your stage 2 victory?
Team Watson, Kenny the Builder as always, Inside Lane Productions, Kobe for doing the broadcast, and you guys.
All right, bud, we appreciate you. Hopefully everything will go well for you, and we'll see you on the podium at the end of this thing.
Sounds good.
Alrighty, that was Jeremy Sumter, driver of the 52. As it looks like pace car lights have gone out, we're getting ready to get this thing back underway. Now, the top 2 are on about 8-lap-old tires, so they are going to be at a little bit of a deficit here, and of course that is Jose Medina and Matthew Cisna. So we'll see how this kind of plays out. Of course, 8 laps doesn't sound like a lot. It doesn't sound like a lot, JC, but you know that tire wear at this track is so just it's incredible how much the tires wear. So I think 8 laps is more than we probably think, right?
Yeah, 8 laps. Yeah, they'll definitely be slower than the fresh tires behind them. It'd be about like a few tenths, but even though a few tenths don't sound like a lot, it's a lot.
It's definitely going to put them on a different pit cycle, so that's something we're definitely going to be looking at later on in the run, guys.
And here we go. Pace car has dipped down pit road, and I do believe Matthew Cisna, I don't know if he's the control car because he keeps edging out in front of the 48, but I do believe the 48, no, he is the control car, and up through the gears we go. And side by side, that was kind of a very chaotic start, and it looks like everybody pretty much going to be side by side into one. As Jose Medina does get clear, here comes Kyle Holden. Big run to the inside of the 54 of Randy Mullins. But it looks like Mullins is going to be able to hold off to 59. Oh, we got some problems further back.
Yeah.
As two drivers have went off the track. I do believe that was Derek Jacobs in the 27 had an issue. No caution.
A lot of drivers in the back kind of got caught up in that wishy-washy start there, guys. Not knowing exactly when to go, but the 48 car definitely got the better of the two. Surprising he didn't get a black flag because it was a little touch and go there for a while.
And it looks like, what it seems like to me here, what happened with Derek Jacobs, I think he got loose off of 2 and also had a little bit of a touch from the rear end as well. So I think kind of a compound issue, just getting loose off of turn 2.
And he got
Very
a black
easy to
flag.
do. And I think he got loose before he actually got touched. So we'll have to see. Let's watch it back one more time. But I do believe he gets loose right before he actually gets touched here. And you can see, well, yeah, he does get loose. Comes down the track, and I think the 70 was trying to get underneath him to get past him. But unfortunately, they met together, and very hard hit for the 27 on the inside wall.
And I'm not sure why, but Derek Jacobs actually has a black flag now.
That is weird. But it looks like he is on pit road, getting some of that damage repaired. Love that paint scheme that the 27's rocking here tonight. Of course, Jose Medina still in the lead. Even though he's got a lap deficit on those tires, he's actually doing pretty good. I mean, last lap, look at the lap time that he hit, guys. I mean, that was the fastest lap of the race. 29.373. That's insane. He is flying right now.
But that's not good on his tires, I'll tell you that
No,
much.
not at all. But that is crazy fast. I'm shocked to see such fast lap times. I don't think that's a good thing.
Yeah, unfortunately, he will not be fast for long, especially burning his tires up like that. The 10-lap deficit, he's going to fall back a little bit, and then it'll be, I mean, that's what we'll be looking at. We'll see it because he had 2 laps more on his tires than Cisna, but we're just going to see if he's actually able to stick it out and stay on the same pit cycle with these guys.
Love these camera angles that Kobe Jordan's bringing us here tonight. Of course, as Kyle Holden tries to reel in Matthew Cisna. Of course, Jeremy Sumter following right in tow. Josh Schaffner is also caught up to Randy Mullins. Now, Josh Schaffner, I think this is a track that probably suits Schaffner well. He is the Iceman, always good at saving tires. And, of course, he is looking really fast at the moment.
And this is that run that most of these guys are familiar with this week. Temps are about the same. The length's about the same. So they should be in their element, guys. Should not be a lot of surprises here. Most of these guys now, they understand that they should be racing themselves. You know, you don't want to get out there and chase that carrot, so to speak, because that's going to put you in a bad way. You got to have the experience to run your own race and really kind of stay in your lane.
Well, especially at this racetrack. I mean, this track is the track that you do not want to race the other drivers around you. You want to race your own race. Race the track. Because if you start racing other people, there's a wall waiting to meet you. And, of course, Nick King making a pass there for 13th. He moves up past Mark Sanchez. So some guys able to make some passes back here. Of course, Jose Medina still out front. 91 laps into this race. I do believe we're getting ready to cross that halfway point here at Darlington.
And it's definitely been a journey here, guys. The first half of this race has been anything other than dull. As 27 car still down on pit road with Frank Flores and Greg Wachinski. Greg Wachinski actually cooked his motor, so I don't think he'll be coming back out. Not sure about Flores and Jacobs.
Kenny Powell's under quite a bit of fire right now. He's got Paul Bergoli all over the rear end of him at the moment, of course, as well as Brandon Pasalacqua. Powell in the Mountain Dew machine follows behind Brian Johnson. And I know Paul Bergoli. Paul is not a easy driver to have behind you. He is very, very fast. He's one of the best drivers, I'd say, in sim racing that's not a pro in a lot of ways. And so surprised that he hasn't been up here and mixing it in for the lead. But I think a lot of the drivers aren't showing their full hand. They know what a race, how to win here. It doesn't take leading a bunch of laps. It takes being alive at the end. And I think that's what a driver like Paul Bergoli is trying to accomplish here. As we see, I do believe the 24 just got into the outside wall. He is going to be able to hold off the 83 for now, as you see Brandon Pasalacqua trying to look to the inside.
The 83 is just running his own race right now. That's the difference between him and the 24. And I think he kind of set his own pace, so he's not really worried about what everybody else is doing. And I don't really think he was kind of thinking about those stage points because they really don't exist for him anyway.
That's right. They don't count for him at all. They don't help him at all. The full race win is what he's going for, as it looks like the 83 does make the pass on the 24. He moves up to now 8th place.
Now, the biggest thing is what's going to happen. How patient is the 6 going to be behind the 24?
I don't know. I mean, I think one of the best passers in the race has been Pasalacqua. But I think Pasalacqua's really biding his time right now. But you can see that Kenny Powell is actually slowing down quite a bit compared to everybody else. 30.233 last time by versus everybody else around him. So he's about 0.2 to 0.3 off of the pace of what these other guys are hitting. So that's kind of a scary thing for Powell. He's probably got a lot of pressure on him at the moment. And pressure at a track like Darlington is not what you want.
You know, especially after what our Stage 2 winner said, because you got to think about this. You can't let those guys get too far out ahead of you, especially if you're not anticipating another caution flag. You know, you got to keep the leader somewhat of a distance that you'll actually be able to catch him.
We do have a race starting to unfold here for the lead. Kyle Holden has caught up to Jose Medina. And, of course, Medina trying to hold on to this position, but Kyle Holden is definitely putting a lot of pressure on the back of the 48. And, of course, you see the 48 trying to run wherever the 59 is trying to run, not wanting to give this position up. Because I think the 48 just knows if I give this clean air up, I'm probably going to start to fall back.
So speaking of falling back, JC, what are your thoughts now at this stage in the race? What's your expertise? Are you going to be trying to at least burn a little rubber to get up front? Or are you just going to conserve and stay back and hope for caution?
Again, it just depends on where you're at position-wise. If you're like in these top 4 cars, like see Kyle Holden took the lead though, but he was just kind of like biding his time on that one. But one thing you want to do too is just kind of like follow the leader in a sense. Let the other guys make the mistake, and then you pounce on that mistake when you get that opportunity.
When do you think these guys are going to start to get desperate? Is that going to be before the pit window or after?
It'll probably be before the pit window. They'll try to use up some of the tire they got left, if they have any by that point. Because the other thing too is you want to try to gain as much positions before pit stops, so that way you can capitalize after the pit stops are done.
And pit stops are going to be incredibly important at this racetrack. I mean, if we stay green and we do have green flag pit stops, I mean, when you decide to pit is going to probably mean everything, because tires mean everything. So if you short pit, you're going to gain some sort of an advantage on the tires early, but then later it's not going to be as great. I think that this is going to be a game of chess here for a lot of these drivers. Who wins this race is going to have to nail the strategy.
And that's what I was wondering about Jose Medina, because, like you said, you know, he's taken that option off the table for him entirely, I believe.
A little bit of a contact with the wall there from Kenny Powell. He rebounds off the wall. And, of course, he's in danger of possibly falling outside of the top 10. He's got Darren Mullins coming up on his rear end. As we do have a battle, I think I see Randy Mullins fighting right now with Matthew Cisna. That's for 4th place. And I do believe Randy Mullins is going to take over that position. 11, though, I got to say, he's got a lot of pace. I really like what I'm seeing from Matthew Cisna. If he could get on the same pit strategy with everybody else, I think he'd be definitely a contender for a top 10. We are coming closer and closer to the fuel window opening up, but I think, like I said at the top of the broadcast, tires are going to be what these guys care about, not fuel.
And I do believe Cisna's his damage is that's what's going to actually affect him in the long haul. I think that's what's affecting him now. Still said he had about 30 seconds worth of damage. You could see it visible on the front of that car. if you got somebody behind you that don't have that damage, that's a wholly different deck of cards.
And he's got a lot of pressure right now. Of course, you saw Josh Schaffner to make it up into the top 5. Brian Johnson as well, trying to make it past. Everybody trying to get past Matthew Cisner right now. And it looks like they have been successful so far. Brandon Pastelakwa slides up in front of the 11. And you see Paradigm doing a great job here so far. They hold the 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th position. And Randy Mullins, though, trying to do one better. He's now entered the top 3 as he just got past Jose Medina.
Those Paradigm guys definitely going to be wanting to get a little closer together, guys, at this stage in the race, because as they get closer and closer to that pit window, they don't want to show their hand. They want to be able to get close, get tight, team communication, come down all at one time.
Whoa, problems! Brian Johnson into the outside walls. We've had contact between Brian Johnson and Jose Medina, I do believe. And that is going to bring the yellow flag.
Disregard all previous comments.
You see Darren Mullins as well involved. So that's heavy damage for Darren Mullins. This just came out of nowhere. You see, of course, the 50 of Josh Schaffner just getting by the 48. The 48 gets a little loose on entry. Gets up into the outside wall. And I think he was trying to stay off the wall, and I think he came down into the 4 a little bit here.
And you know Brian Johnson's not going to appreciate that at all, because he was actually having a pretty solid run. And those Paradigm guys, I think they were actually stacking themselves up to actually mount a run. So the question is, and I guess we're going to have to go to the expert for this, we're going to be right there at the end of this thing. It's going to be close, Nat's ass close, 75 laps on fuel. Tires is going to be the bigger key. I mean, I guess we're answering that. Everybody's coming to pit road.
Yeah, no, everybody's, especially for tires, I'd say. But, man, that's a heartbreaker for Brian Johnson, because Johnson, you can see he's got severe damage. Awesome camera work for Kobe Jordan, bringing us probably the best view in the house for this accident, Darren Mullins. And see all these other drivers managing to get past this, but heavy, heavy damage on the 64 and the 4.
Yeah,
did
man.
have some drivers, I think, elect to stay out, if I'm not mistaken, possibly. No, I'm wrong. It looks like I do believe Kyle Holden is going to win the race off pit road. Randy Mullins, though, I do believe just jumped Jeremy Sumter, possibly.
Looks like we have Brian Johnson, Jose Medina with the repairs required flag, and Greg Carr picks up a random black flag.
Wow. What a race. This thing has been dramatic. Of course, let's go ahead and take a brief step away. We'll go ahead and pay some attention to our sponsors while we have a moment. We'll be back with some more racing here at Darlington Raceway in the ISCA.
You went, you served, and forged the relationships that only being baptized in the fire of combat can develop. At FallInVeteran.com, we understand the unique bond that veterans share. That's why we've created a platform where you can connect, share experiences, and build lifelong friendships with fellow veterans. Signing up is easy. Simply visit www.fall-in-veteran.com and create your profile. Customize it to reflect your military service interests and hobbies. FallInVeteran.com is more than just an online community. It's a support network where you can find resources, advice, and encouragement from those who understand what you've been through. Whether you're looking for camaraderie, mentorship, or simply a place to share your stories, FallInVeteran.com has it all. Join thousands of veterans who have already found their tribe and start connecting today. FallInVeteran.com. Come join us and experience the power of community. Sign up now at www.fall-in-veteran.com.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the ISCA Super Cup Series. As, of course, we're at Darlington Raceway. We've had quite a dramatic race here tonight at Darlington. We've seen many accidents, or I shouldn't say many accidents, but we have seen a lot of drivers have to exit stage left because of huge damage. Pace car getting ready to dip down pit road. As, of course, we are in the midst of stage number 3. Kyle Holden going to be, of course, taking us through the Geico restart zone, and here comes the green flag. And you can see Randy Mullins kind of pinching the 59 down on the start, but it looks like the 59 able to sail off into turn 1 and 2. Here comes the 52 and the 54 side by side in 1 and 2. That is a scary place to be side by side, and it looks like, I think the 54 kind of relented. He did not want to play that game of chicken with the 52, guys.
This is the position right here. This is the position race. Right now, what you're doing is all about track position. You're trying to get up front where the clean air is because that's probably the position you're going to be fighting to hold here for the foreseeable future, at least until these guys decide to stop and pit again.
And Matthew Cisna in the midst of a battle there with, I do believe, Kenny Powell. You see Mark Sanchez and the Reese's machine coming up to the rear end as well. So definitely things been heating up here. Let's see if Mark can get up here and maybe make something happen. Ooh, very big move to the inside from Mark Sanchez. Oh, this is getting close. You can tell Cisna not wanting to relinquish that position.
Cisna still having that damage. He probably just got a little bit fixed because he didn't want to give up the track position, not at this stage in the game. But I'm wondering how much those 10 extra laps that Jose had on his tires really affected his run.
Oh, I'm sure it affected it quite a bit. But one thing about it, Jose had the issue, but Cisna kind of capitalized and got back on the same pit strategy as everybody else, which kind of helped out the 11. He's up in the top 10 and 8th right now. Of course, like you said, struggling because of the damage. And if he can hold on to this is probably one of his best finishes. Of course, Kyle Holden in the lead. He's got about 4/10 back to Jeremy Sumter. Now, Sumter has been trying to hold off Randy Mullins. Mullins finally kind of backing off a little bit here. Brandon Pasolaco catches up to the rear bumper of the 54.
Yeah, that's not something you want. You don't want to be battled at this stage of the race because that's going to affect the tire degradation that you have, and you're really wanting to save that and wear it out yourself because I think a lot of guys are going to do just that.
And, of course, you see Paul Bragoli in the 83 trying to drive his way up to the back end of Brandon Pasolaco. The 83 first time in the top 5 at the moment, as I do believe we're coming up closer to, I think we're now just less than 70 laps to go here at Darlington.
I think they're going to have to deal with Mr. Bergoli sooner than later because he has been on a constant crusade to get up front, Brian. He's running his own pace. He's running his own race, but he has got his eyes on those top 3 positions, and I think it's just a matter of time before he gets there.
I think he's been really just biding his time. I think he's been having a quiet day, and he hasn't really been trying to do anything too crazy. But now it's getting to that point to where, because he's still alive and because he's been having a quiet day, he's kind of in contention now. And I'll tell you one thing, though. Jeremy Sumter has got him a parade behind him that's trying to get behind him. Randy Mullins has been really just pushing the 52.
But are they really pushing this guy? Because if you look at Kyle Holden, Kyle's just out there. He's running away. I think that's going to come back and bite those guys. So the guys behind Sumter, he might be kind of doing them a favor at this point.
He could be. You might be right. I mean, he might be backing them down to kind of save a little bit more tire. And that could actually, help indirectly help them. So we'll have to wait and see. But knowing the paradigm drivers of Randy Mullins and Brandon Passalacqua, they're wanting to go past him and go up there and run down Kyle Holden. Because you know how it is, Big Al. They're racers. They don't want to sit behind someone that's on a different team.
Yeah, look at how the 83 is just kind of backed off there. He's just kind of watching it unfold, man. So, yeah, I think you're on to something. I think maybe these guys do want to get past them, and he is just kind of holding them up because once they go by you, it's going to be hard to repass them, right?
Yeah, for sure. And I think that's a lot of why Jeremy doesn't want to let these guys go. And Sumter is not an easy driver to pass. I know this guy personally. He is a very aggressive driver, and it's going to be difficult for the 54 to make this pass happen without Sumter fighting back. That's for sure. And here we go. I think the pass might be getting ready to happen. The 54 to the inside. As you can see, Passalacqua tries to push his teammate alongside the 52. You also see Josh Schaffner starting to attack the 83 of Paul Bergoli. Still side by side.
Ooh-wee.
This is not where you want to be side by side in 1 and 2. Ooh, you can see that the 54 came up, and I think he had to relinquish that because he could not continue to stay side by side. That's just you really don't want to be side by side in the middle of 1 and 2.
So everybody
JC even said that before.
Yeah, everybody better start taking note of how hard it was for him and how much energy he actually exerted there, attempting to make that pass. You know what I mean? Because that's going to be a telltale sign of Cisna. He loses the spot to Sanchez as he actually tried to get around Powell.
Ooh, their contact right there. Oh,
contact between the two sends Sanchez into the wall. I don't know if Sanchez is going to let that go. I think he's going to try to get his legs back underneath him. And Cisna, you might be seeing him again.
Sanchez not happy. He cannot be happy about that because, I mean, he just hit the wall twice. I just don't think Cisna was comfortable being side by side, and Sanchez, unfortunately, kind of got the bad end of that in a lot of ways. Hit the outside wall. This wall can be unforgiving.
Yeah, as speaking of unforgiving, Randy Mullins completely making Jeremy Sumter as uncomfortable as he can. He's definitely letting them know that he's back there, and I kind of get it, man. I've been exactly where he's at. I know how he feels, but like you said, you know Sumter personally, so he's going to do what he needs to do to preserve that position, guys, because at this stage in the game, I mean, JC, I'm going to ask you this. Are you driving hard or are you waiting for a caution?
Well, at this part, I would try to save and not drive as hard, but the thing about it is you don't want to lose team positions just in case if that caution would happen to come out and help you out in that fuel and tire window.
But I think that the reason, Sumter's holding back Randy, but I think the reason that Sumter's holding him back is because, of course, I think in a lot of ways he probably wants to help his teammate out, but he also wants to save tire. He doesn't want, to be struggling later in this run, and it's just shocking to see Randy being so aggressive right now. You could tell that Randy just desperately wants to make it past this 52. Now, we do have lap traffic starting to come into play. I do believe Jose Medina might be that lap traffic, if I'm not mistaken, the 48.
Well, look here, he's going to get by him. It's just a matter of when. And what I mean when I say that, he's going to get aggressive, and he's going to put his bumper right there on the inside, that left corner, and he's going to make his presence known. He's going to take that bottom line, and then we'll see exactly what happens.
And you can see that Sumter's definitely slowing down Randy Mullins. I mean, last time by, 29.692 from Sumter, about 29.7 from Randy Mullins. So definitely some frustration, I think, starting to come out of the 54. And, surprised Passalacqua hasn't been trying to capitalize on it, or Paul Bergoli. Paul Bergoli doesn't look like he's handling this quite as good as you would want him to, but fall off is also starting to impact these drivers as well. Wouldn't you say, JC?
Yeah, absolutely. And another thing I want to mention to add to Big Al's question too, the other thing we don't know too is why coming back with like 70-some laps to go, like are these teams going on a tire strategy where they're going to split that in half and pit like 30 laps in the run and then run another 30 laps on the fresh tires?
That's interesting. That's really interesting considering, I mean, we talked about the fuel window being about 75 laps. Well, you know, this run essentially is this run is about at that 75 lap mark. So who's to say we don't see these drivers kind of split it in half and go down pit road to grab a new set of tires or something like that?
I think they're going to have to, because the conversation that we've heard from everybody is that tire number was fictitious. It didn't matter. The fuel number. The fuel number, nobody's going to make that. The tires aren't going to allow you to. So, yeah, I definitely think these guys they're going to come in, they're going to make that chunk more manageable, I say, to the first 35 laps. You dial your setup back, you get it right in there, and you kind of go with the faster setup in my mind. Am I right or wrong?
Surprisingly, we're seeing Randy kind of back off of Sumter, and I think this might be because Randy was all over Sumter for too long. Now, JC, you probably touch on this. When you're all over someone's rear end, the car just doesn't. You wear the tires out more, and you can see that clearly is what happened. Because he was kind of pressuring Sumter so much, it really wore out the front tires of that race car.
And the temperature.
Yeah, especially like a track like this where, it's hard to stay out dirty air because the track is so narrow. So with Randy being stuck behind Jeremy like that, yeah, he might have overheated his right front tire just a little bit. So he probably had no choice but to back off and let it cool off a little bit.
Yeah, 100%. Of course, Kyle Holden now out to 1.2 second gap on Jeremy Sumter. And Kyle has been, I think, the fastest car almost all night long. I mean, he's been one of the really good ones. Of course, Brandon Pasalaco, who qualified on the pole, he's back in third. But ever since that issue on the first, initial start, Kyle has kind of been in domination mode. Of course, he hasn't won the stage yet, but he's definitely been a very fast race car, I'd say. I mean, and I know, what was it, a few weeks ago, he and Derek Heitman got into a big race towards the end of an event, and Kyle almost could have won the race. But unfortunately, him and Derek kind of got into it a little bit. And I think Kyle wants a little redemption, guys. I think this 59 wants to get to victory lane badly.
Yeah, absolutely. Who doesn't want to win? I mean, that's
in this series.
Yeah, right now, I think the only thing drivers are trying to do is get themselves in a position to win this thing. It's out of reach for a lot of drivers, just being honest in my opinion. But some guys still believe they have a chance, and they do. Wow, Medina really getting kind of scarce there up against the 11 car, not handling well at all.
Yeah, we're having some issues there. John Bender up into the 11. And this might not be over. Oh, Cisna into the outside wall.
Cisna has his hands full as Jose Medina did Abner Acosta did the same thing when he was going by.
And I got to be honest with you, I really expected Abner to be a lot stronger than he is here in this race. Usually this driver is one of the top drivers in this series, but I don't know if maybe he missed the mark on the setup this week or something. Well, I don't know. But, I mean, he is starting to catch up quickly to Sanchez, and I think he does possibly have a top 10 perhaps, as we see John Bender, of course, attacking once again on Matthew Cisna.
I got to put Abner Acosta somewhere in the top 5 of this thing, because otherwise I just don't think my slippers are going to fit right tonight. I mean, you said it best. This guy, he is a professional. He is always in the forefront of this thing, and I just don't think. I think he's probably Team Darlington. I think he's just trying to keep it lame until the last part of the race.
And maybe this is a strategy thing for him. He's like, I know I don't need to be going too crazy. As we see Andrew Griesbaum, of course, getting a position on Cisna. Yeah, no, I think Abner really understands that I cannot run hard. If I run hard, my tires will be destroyed, and I think that's what Abner's thinking. I mean, look at lap time wise, Abner looks pretty good right now. He's got top 5 speed on this long run.
But the point that you just made, I do believe that's the reality that a lot of drivers are living right now, Brian, because they went out there, they demonstrated that in stage 1. They got it again in stage 2. You go out there, you run fast, you run hard, you won't run long.
I'll tell you who's been really starting to come to a lot of speed. Jeremy Sumter. Last couple times by, he's been about a tenth faster, a little bit under a tenth faster than Kyle Holden. And I think he's starting to catch up to Holden. Right now, there's about a 9/10 of a second gap between first and second. I would not be surprised that we're going to see a battle for the lead maybe at some point.
Who's that down there in the corner there? Got a car coming to pit road. Don't know if that's a scheduled stop, because I think it's still too early. As Sanchez way off the pace, not sure what's going on with him. He lets Grease Bomb fly by.
Yeah, I'm not sure what just happened with Sanchez. I think Sanchez might have been trying to pit. That's one thing we haven't talked about Darlington. This is one of the toughest pit roads on the NASCAR schedule. It's you have to pretty much come to if you're going to pit, you got to start pitting in 3. Like you can't be really aggressive on pit road at this place, because you will miss pit road or you'll hit the water barrels.
So those long pitters are starting to come in. Paul Olson on pit road right now. So the guys that are going to long pit this thing, they're going to be in now, but we're going to be looking for the guys that are going to short pit this thing. JC, Brian, what are your thoughts? I mean, are you short pitting it or are you long pitting it?
I think some of them are trying not to pit at all.
You're going to have a mixed bag. You're going to have guys try to short pit to get better track position, and you're going to have some that are going to run long and maybe even try to stretch the fuel run completely.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. It's a tough run to make, that long of a run. I think we might even see a tire failure or something like that. It's possible.
Yeah, so now we're dealing with 3 possible pit strategies. You got the guys that are going to pit 45 laps out that are going to long run it. You got the guys that are going to wait to 35 laps, say 30 to 35. And then you got the guys that are going to really try to make this thing last on gas, and that's going to be funny.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. I mean, all these different strategies kind of playing out on the same racetrack, especially Darlington. That's going to be tough. As, of course, we see Kyle Holden dealing with a lot of lap traffic right now. I do believe we're seeing a battle, though. Abner Acosta trying to get by Blair Holloman. Got to give a lot of credit to the 10 tonight. I mean, Blair has looked really good here at Darlington. And you know what? I got to say, a lot of drivers have looked good here at Darlington. Usually we go to other tracks and we're like, you know, I don't really like what I see from some of the guys. But I got to be honest, the guys that I did not expect to do well here are doing well.
That is a very good, valid point, Brian, because this is one of those tracks where generally, say, 15-10% of the field are running strong and the rest of the guys just kind of look like they don't belong. Tonight, it's really been competitive, at least through the top 10. We got I think we still have the majority, like 14 cars or so on the lead lap. Well, 17. So, yeah, I think it's a good showing for Darlington.
Bender getting really loose there. Of course, now going to be attacked by, I do believe, Andrew Griezmann. That's for 12th. No, it is a very competitive race. I mean, usually at Darlington, there's drivers that just stand out over everybody. And that was almost a bad deal right there.
Caught up again almost.
Now, Griezmann, he has been a troublemaker here at Darlington today.
He's one of them Carolina sandflies tonight, right?
He definitely has been he's been tough to deal with here. And you see Frank Flores, of course. I'm glad to see Frank still out here turning laps. Because I know Frank had a bad start to this race.
Yeah, definitely. He was involved in an earlier skirmish with Andrew Griezmann, and that actually caused Flores to spend quite a few laps behind the wall. But so far, man, he's back out there. And, I just like to see the tenacity of the drivers that continue to drive regardless. Because I can't do it.
No, if I'm out there and I'm multiple laps down, I'm going to quit. That's just me. Yeah. Because I just like that. I'm right there with you. It's no fun. This is when you got a really damaged race car. But, a lot of times, though, that tenacity, that don't give up attitude equals points in a season. So you really got to respect that. That's for sure.
Yeah, if I was really running and it mattered, that's something totally different. But, it's hard for me to stick around.
You just saw, I do believe, Paul Bergoli just made a pass on Randy Mullins. A lot of drivers are starting to struggle quite a bit. Randy Mullins is one of them. 31-1 last time by. He's starting to turn some really slow laps, and I think that's the tires right there. I mean, you saw Randy abusing them, trying desperately to get by Sumter, and now he's paying for that right now.
Yeah, well, this is one of the things we talk about. Brian Johnson was the same way. Look, here's the deal. You're not going to be fast long if you come up and you wear those tires out. If your strategy was to be in it for the long haul, you had to take it easy. Otherwise, you're right where you need to be. This is a time where you'll be really kind of probably coming in anyway. We have 36 laps to go. I think you're right there now. This is that window open of the short pitters.
I'll tell you who's looked the best on the long run. Kyle Holden clearly is the fastest car on the long run. 30.4 last time by. He was, I do believe, the fastest car on the track. And, that clean air helps him out a lot.
Right there. Got a big accident back in the back of the field. No caution. I don't know how. I'm still looking.
Not sure. I didn't see this accident happen. Not sure. We're hearing that there was an accident on the racetrack. Not sure exactly where. Still green. And I think it might have been Sanchez. So we're looking at Mark Sanchez in the 29. I know he's turned a very slow lap last time by. So let's see if we can find out exactly what happened. And that's exactly where it is. Mark Sanchez gets into Frank Flores, who was already several laps down. And you see Randy Drumhiller, big hit to the rear end of the 8. So that's definitely unfortunate. That's where that accident I think you were talking about, Big Al, happened.
Yeah, absolutely. I was looking at the purple car. Usually it's Kenny Powell. I couldn't put the number, but it was the 44 of Drumhiller.
And of course, I think Drumhiller really probably didn't want to be involved in this at all. I mean, you can see that Mark was trying to get by Frank, and unfortunately, Drumhiller just nowhere really to go. As you, of course, see, the accident does not lead to a yellow flag. Shocked we haven't seen more drivers pop down pit road to take green flag stops here. Kyle Holden, last time by, I was just talking good about this guy off the pace, 31.057. Mark Sanchez coming to pit road.
You're not going to be fast long. Hey, so, JC, when is it too late to come in? Is there a time that it's too late to come in?
I would say like about 20 to go would be like the latest you want to come in to make the tire strategy possibly work.
Kenny Powell pit road.
Yeah, it looks like a lot of guys are doing more of a long pit strategy. Kenny Powell, as you mentioned, coming to pit road, probably grab him a set of tires.
With Sanchez, so that seems to be more of a buddy move. Sanchez really nothing to lose after he was involved in the skirmish with Drumhiller, so he comes down and his G&G teammate, Kenny Powell, he comes down with him. Now, we saw how fast Brian Johnson was earlier, guys, once he changed his tires, and I think that was a run of 10 laps.
Nick King down pit road.
Am I off the mark here? Am I not shooting this shot?
I think no. I think a lot of drivers have elected to come to pit road now. I think a lot of guys are on this 30 lap to go strategy. It's shocking to see that the leader seems to. I'm wondering what kind of strategy he's on. I think that some of these guys are just kind of rolling the dice and hoping that a caution is going to come out. But we're getting so close to the end of this thing that I don't know if we're going to see one.
Yeah, I think a lot of guys may have that caution factor or the probability of a caution factored into their pit strategies, man. But right now, with the more guys that pit, I think that's probably not going to be as probable as it once was.
Well, I mean, sometimes when you see drivers pop down pit road, though, it makes actually the opportunity or the probability of a caution actually go up because you'll have guys on old tires and guys on new tires. And at a track like Darlington, it's hard to predict when someone is going to be letting off or what line they're going to be running, and the momentum is going to be vastly different between new tires and old.
Yeah, because you're dealing with a plethora of pit strategies that are all sprinkled under this course right now. We just got 27 laps to go, so I totally agree with you, man. I do believe we're probably sitting higher the probability of cautions now than we have been all night.
I'll tell you who's looking the fastest on the long run at the moment. Abner Acosta. This guy, I mean, we were talking, I was like, man, I don't know what's going on with Abner, but Abner's actually looking really good right now. 30.5 last time by from the 55. And he's actually starting to run down Josh Schoffer. He was last time by about 0.2 faster than the 50.
I mean, and ultimately, teams already know their strategy when they get here. And you don't generally kind of throw that out. I mean, if you're Italian, you're still going to be making pasta and sauce. I mean, so if you come here with the concept that I'm going to be a long run driver, I think that's kind of what you have to stick to, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think that's where the money's at a track like Darlington, long run. You want to have that's the priority. That is the priority. Here comes some of the guys on new tires unlapping themselves. Mark Sanchez getting by Kyle Holden as well as Nick King. And you could just clearly see how much faster the new tires are compared to the old tires. As we're coming up closer and closer to that 20 to go mark, I do believe we have 24 laps to go right now.
But you can wear out new tires as well, guys. You can come out there and have 30-plus laps to go, come out with new tires, run them into the ground. So towards the end of it, you're going to be really right there back in the same situation those guys that have been out there on the long run.
Abner Acosta has gotten by Josh Schoffer. He's now up into 5th. Jeremy Sumter has really ran down Kyle Holden. I think Jeremy is going to possibly get by Kyle very, very soon. Of course, we see John Bender battling with Randy Mullins. John is looking fast here tonight. I got to say I'm impressed. This is the Sundrop 250, so not a surprise to see the Sundrop machine doing good.
Bender, I'm counting on you, bud. Let's go. Let's bring this one home. But Kyle Holden, so what do you think happened to Kyle, guys? You think he just kind of got out there and with nobody around him, really didn't have anybody to kind of pace himself?
Yeah, could be. What do you think, JC?
I mean, that could be a possibility. Also, passing lap traffic could affect his tire wear, especially with guys that pitted and passing him and put him in different lines and stuff.
Right now, about 55 laps into this stint. Now, we're coming up on 20 to go. Now, the projected fuel window was 75 laps. This is going to be very close on gas. If these guys are going to try to make it on fuel, they're going to be on fumes. I don't think they're going to have enough gas to, and that might be why Kyle's slowing down too. We could see these guys slowing down to save gas. Oh, sizzling into the wall in front of the leaders.
Randy Mullins pit road.
Randy Mullins deciding to pop down pit road. He might think he can't make it on gas. So that might be forcing some guys to come.
Yeah, but I don't know. I mean, help me out with this, though, Mr. Evans. If you know you're going to run it on fuel, there's a point in time where you've been conserving. I mean, you already know if you're going to make it at this point. You would have conserved way early on, and then it would have been a point in time where you would have got the green light where you don't have to worry about it. We're good to go on fuel, right?
Yeah, especially in Kyle's situation, being the leader. He had that big lead, so basically, like when he stretched it out, then he had the opportunity to back off his pace and save more fuel if he had to. But I'm guessing at this point, everybody's probably good to go if they're going to run it out. Because if they're not good to go, they should be pitting like any time.
Yeah, I think Kyle burned his tires up. And the 64 is still down pit road. Not sure what's going on.
What's really interesting, though, is Abner Acosta. I was talking about how good he's been on the long run. He is really, chopped in quite a bit to the lead that Kyle Holden has. I mean, he's about 3.4 seconds back now from our leader. And last time I looked at Abner, he was about 5 seconds back. So he has really been just cutting in quite a bit into this lead. So Abner, he's on pace to maybe come in and challenge. Maybe. I mean, he seems like he's got a very fast long run. And there he goes, right by, I do believe, Matthew Cisna. Ooh, that was close. But definitely been some great racing here. We've seen a lot of drama, but we've also seen a lot of, battle for the lead. As there goes Jeremy Sumter, drives right by the 59, and he is going to take the lead of this race.
No,
Sumter, of course, won stage 2.
Whoa.
Brian Johnson into the outside wall right in front of the leaders.
I think he was just trying to get out of the way. I hope that's what was going on there. But, man, that just goes to show both Sumter and Holden, same amount of laps on their tires. And yet these guys, look at the difference now. The 18 car coming down pit road.
Yeah,
that's Alexander Carr.
Alexander Carr coming to pit road. The thing about it is I would not be surprised that Sumter and Kyle Holden are probably running a very similar setup as well. And the thing about Darlington is you can have a very similar setup to someone else. You can have the same exact setup, but in someone else's hands, it's going to act different. This track requires finesse. There's not, I don't think, a single way you drive this place. I mean, there is going to be, it's an art. I got to say, Darlington is, I was talking to a buddy earlier about NASCAR, back in the day. Like, it used to be not all science. It used to be more art. And I think Darlington is that way. You tackle this track like an artist.
It's Picasso. You have to paint this thing. You have to paint yourself around the track even, and try to stay in those proverbial lines. So, yeah, I think that's a great analogy, Brian. But my point is, like, Kyle Holden set out on the same strategy as Jeremy Sumter. But Sumter is actually executing it, and it looks like Holden might have come up a little short. So is he going to have to change his strategy? Because obviously I don't think this is what he intended, right?
Well, I don't think Kyle has a choice right now. I think he's kind of just, in the bed he's made. And I think he's just going to hold on to it and try to stay where he's at. But then again, he might have some company very soon. I mean, Jeremy Sumter and Kyle Holden are possibly going to be running into Abner Acosta very soon, because Abner has been just tearing this lead away. I mean, the gap is now down to 2 seconds. I mean, Abner, I was like, man, the 55 is just not looking as good as he usually does. And look at him. Here he is.
And about the time you said that, Brian, I was thinking it. And I was like, man, get out of my head. But, yeah, absolutely right. But we know Abner Acosta. He's in third place right now. The one thing we know about Abner, don't count this guy out. If anybody's going to be, he's like a termite. You just got to keep looking for him, man, because he's eating somewhere.
He's coming too. I mean, he is quickly catching up to the leaders here, and I think he might catch them just in time. Well, last time by, he just clawed a lot of gap here.
Yeah,
I would not be. He's gonna catch him. He's definitely gonna catch him.
He's gonna catch Holden sooner than later. And so now, JC, when you get caught like that by two guys that are on the same
Sumter problems.
Yeah, that might be a tire issue.
I'm not
that
sure
allowed
exactly
Holden to get back up front. Well, these guys are on old tires. They're on 67 lap old tires, man.
Yeah, these tires, like the car just not handling well.
I used the analogy last week. It's like trying to ice skate on 2x4s. You're not turning.
And you can see Sumter, of course, into the outside wall again, and he is just struggling to keep the grip down. I think that he's almost just hit a point to where he is ice skating. He's doing exactly that, and I don't think he's going to have any choice but to give this position up to Abner Acosta.
But with 10 laps to go, Randy Drumhiller down on pit road. This isn't the time you can't change your strategy. This is the time to come to pit road, right? If you're in for the long haul.
No, you just gotta have to make. You made this bed, you better lay in it and just hang on for the ride.
That's really gonna make those slippers a lot more comfortable for Abner Acosta. And here we are, we're talking about him, but don't count out Paul Bergoli. Paul's still back there doing what he does, man. He's just running laps. We got 10 laps to go in this thing. We got some guys that are doing everything they can. They're holding on. A lot of guys didn't give Jesus the wheel.
Kyle, though, is even trying to get past some lap traffic as well. But no, Abner's going to have his hands full because Jeremy does not want to let this position go. But here comes Abner. Contact!
Ooh.
That's going to put Jeremy Sumter sideways. And he comes back down the track.
No caution.
No caution. Sumter's able to keep it straight. And that is not going to bring a cost. So Abner Acosta now up to second place. And I guarantee you Jeremy Sumter is not going to be happy about that.
That's going to allow Paul Bergoli to really get his legs up here. Now he's got a chance to put that thing in third place, Brian. And wouldn't that be a story for him to tell tonight?
It would be. But I don't think Kyle Holden, I think he's the one we need to be watching right now because Kyle has got that 55 closing in. What is Kyle? Kyle wants to win this race. You just know he wants to win this race, and he's got this 55 closing in.
Yeah, but look at the lap times, though. Abner Acosta, 0.2 of a second faster than Kyle Holden on the last lap. I mean, he's really kind of putting his foot down now.
Oh, 100%. I mean, I don't know what Kyle can do to hold off Abner.
5 to go.
This is going to be tough. But, I mean, one thing that Kyle's got going for him is he's got a lot of traffic around that could possibly, if something just goes the wrong way for Abner, it could help out. I mean, you see Kenny Powell right there. I mean, if Kenny holds up Abner at all, that could be just what Kyle needs.
I'm watching the timer take down here, man, and it's ticking down like a freaking detonator. So I don't know what's going on, but it's below 100th of a second. So Abner is on his way. He's there. Holden now has to deal with him. Here comes Kenny Powell. He's going to be trying to scoot by with his tires. I don't know why he got in between the two leaders.
Yeah, this is interesting. And all the guys that were on a different strategy that did not stay out, they're actually not in the contention for the win here, which is kind of surprising. So we see these different strategies not really working out. But Abner now fighting for this win.
Is he fighting? Or is he just waiting?
Oh, Kyle sideways.
Mm.
Kyle Holden now out of contention for the win. And Abner Acosta, who we were saying, I was talking trash about him. I was like, Abner just don't seem like he's good at this track. He doesn't have a good handling car. And look at him. He's in the lead coming up to 2 laps to go.
There was a time where he was kind of wobbly like an elephant with high heels, but he really got that sorted out now. Oh, there's the accident. That is going to cause the caution.
Whoa.
That's going to cause the shootout. That's going to make decisions happen. Bender involved in that. That's the big one right there. And here's the question. I'm going to say it. I'm going to make these guys angry. But what position were they racing for? They were racing for the what?
I think 5th, I think. Bender was definitely for position here, racing. I don't know who that 5 machine is. Bender gets into Schaffner. I think. No, that's somebody else. Who is that in that
That's
machine
the 3
up there?
car.
That's the 3 of Nick King. So Nick King, I don't think King was in the battle at all with Schaffner and Bender.
And all of a sudden now we got a whole different story to tell. The narrative just completely went blank. The teleprompters, the teleprompters, they're in German. I mean, we got some serious issues here, guys. This is going to change everything.
He just got loose off of turn 4 and came down into a lead lap car, Josh Schaffner.
And poor
Schaffner.
Sorry, guys, for my emotional outburst, but I know a lot of other people probably feeling the same way. Now you're the leaders. You know you got to come down pit road. And that just really kind of, that's not a good feeling because it's going to be a 2-lap shootout. The guys that are going to stay out are really going to put themselves in position to win this thing.
Well, I don't think anybody's going to stay out. Everybody seems to be coming down pit road. I do believe we're seeing everybody take tires. Everybody's taking fuel. Well, yeah, I think everybody's pitting. So,
all right.
Well, maybe not. Kenny Powell.
Well, Powell had just pitted. I know.
Well, yeah, I think Kenny Powell has elected to stay out, so he is going to be the driver that decides to stay out.
Yeah, well, that changes everything for him.
It
That
could.
also puts Sumter in a different position as well. I mean, look, that
Sumter,
changes.
yeah.
Okay. So everybody had a card up their sleeve right now, and they just pulled them out, and it could change your luck, or you could just get sank.
Well, Jeremy Sumter took 2 tires. Paul Bergoli took 2 tires.
You see what I'm saying? Now, these are decisions because which did they take the right to? And I don't mean like the right side to. I mean, did they choose the right 2 tires to take?
I don't know. I don't think 2 tires is a good idea at Darlington.
Right. So does it matter which 2 you take, JC? I mean, 2 ain't gonna do, right?
In this case, if you're going to take 2, just take the right side. So that way you have a car that actually turns a little bit more. You take left side, so you just tighten the car up. The only interesting part with this is by taking 2 tires with left sides that have that many laps on it, that kind of like to me equalizes their tires now with Kenny's like 4 tires that he took about 20 laps ago.
33.
33.
So he's got a stage old set of tires on his car. But here's the thing, though. But I think Kenny did the right thing. I don't think you come down when it's a green-white checker because there's only one here in the ISCA, and the next flag's going to end this thing. It's going to freeze the field is what it's going to do. You're not racing back to the checker. So, if Kenny blows it, I think that's just the way it goes, right?
I think that's what he's hoping for. I think that he's hoping that something happens further back in the field that brings out another caution, and that he just wins like that. So I mean, he's gambling, and I really can't blame him for gambling. To be honest with you, I mean, this is kind of making lemonade out of lemons, you know.
Yeah, but I don't know. He's got lemon seeds tonight, though. I don't know what part of the lemon he got.
I don't know. I think this is definitely going to be tough. I mean, and you got 2 tires guys as well. I like Kyle Holden's idea. He takes 4. I think that's going to be probably he's going to have the best handling. We'll see. I really don't know what to expect. I know Abner was great on the long run. Can he show up on the short run? That's my question. Because if that caution hadn't came out, Abner cost a winner all day.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, he was already in the lead. He was on his way. The problem that Kenny has, though, is the guy that's sitting beside him on that high side. That guy, he's pitted. He's got 2 tires there, so that's going to make a difference, especially on the takeoff. And Kenny's just sitting duck at that point.
Well, here we go. Let's find out. Pace car down pit road. Kenny Powell going to be the control car. He is on 33 lap old tires. Here we go into the Geico restart zone. Green flag is out. Kenny's able to launch.
Great launch.
But not good enough. Jeremy Sumter is going to be side by side into 1 and 2. He's got the top line. Ooh, I think this is going to be a mess. I got to be honest.
Kenny's got his claws out. Kenny is doing everything he can. And here comes Sumter on the inside.
Oh,
Kenny
and they wreck.
puts him into the wall. No caution yet. The field keeps going. That's unfortunate for Powell. They're still wrecking. Still no caution. 2 laps to go. Remember, they got to come up. There's the caution. Now, that's going to put Paul Bergoli. He is being shown as your race winner, guys. How does that feel?
Got to look back at that again because I got to look back at that Kenny Powell. Oh my! I just know that there are some mad people right now in this series.
There's a lot of people that are going to have to come to the trailer tonight. Number 1, and 2. I mean, me personally, I'm not going in there unarmed because it's going to be some shooting. It's going to be some fighting.
That's a tough one right there. I love Paul Bergoli, man. He just jumps down like it's second nature. Just moves right on down. And wow. How about this, guys? We've had substitutes a bunch here in this series. And every time it seems like someone substitutes for another driver, that substitute wins.
Yeah, they got a lot
Clayton
to unpack.
Hoffman, Michael Conti. I mean, these guys showed up, substitute for somebody else, and win the race.
They're ringers, man. But the thing about it is they got a lot to unpack here tonight. And I'm not saying they're ringers that way. I'm just saying the Clayton Hoffman, Brigodi, these guys aren't just, they're not just Joe Schmo that they picked up at the Crab Shack. These guys, they know what they're doing. Michael Conti, I mean, the guys are running his setup down there tonight. So it is what it is, right?
Yeah.
But man,
what a race.
That was a race. What a finish. Unfortunately, I mean, it could have went 5 different ways or 10 different strategies. It's just, wow. Let's run through the order, I guess.
Yeah, let's go ahead and go through the final results. Of course, Paul Bergoli's out there burning it down right now, but let's go ahead and go through it. Paul Bergoli, our winner here. He's first start in the ISCA and first win. Kyle Holden, I do believe this is his first podium finish. He could have won this race as well. Finishes in second. The one that got away, though, was Abner Acosta. He should have won this race. I mean, on the long run, he was the bad, fast race car. That's for sure. Fourth place, John Bender. Best finish I think he's ever had in the ISCA, and he earned it. Very fast driver here tonight. Brandon Pasalacqua started on the pole, finishes 5th. Andrew Griesbaum 6th. Blair Holloman 7th. Mark Sanchez 8th. Jay Hone 9th. 10th, Josh Schaffner. Wow, what a shakeup of a night.
Yeah, that's going to put 11th place. It's going to be, Kenny Powell, 12th. 13th, Dylan Banks. 14th place is Randy Drumhiller. 14th, Kenny Sumter. 15th, Nick King. 16th is going to be Matt Cisna. 17th is going to be Matt Cisna. 18th is going to be Greg Carr. 19th, Alexander Carr. And running out of top 20, Brian Johnson.
21st, Paul Olson. 22nd, Jose Medina. Darren Mullins, 23rd. Derek Jacobs, 24th. Frank Flores, 25th. Chris Johnson, 26th. Paul Hill, 27th. And Greg Wachinski rounds out this 28-car field. And, this one's definitely going to be one that I don't think we're going to forget for quite some time. I don't think the drivers down there on the track are going to forget it as well. We're going to take a brief step away. We'll come back and we'll talk to our top 3.
It's gonna get hot today. Grab an ice cold sun drop and show us how you drop it.
Drop it like it's hot. Drop it like it's hot. Drop it like it's hot.
And drop it.
'Cause I got it going on. Drop it like it's hot. Drop it like it's hot. Drop it like it's hot.
A thirst-quenching citrus soda just dropped coast to coast. Sun drop.
That's how you drop it.
Drop it like it's hot. Drop it like it's hot.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
You went, you served, and forged the relationships that only being baptized in the fire of combat can develop. At FallInVeteran.com, we understand the unique bond that veterans share. That's why we've created a platform where you can connect, share experiences, and build lifelong friendships with fellow veterans. Signing up is easy. Simply visit www.fall-in-veteran.com and create your profile. Customize it to reflect your military service, interests, and hobbies. FallInVeteran.com is more than just an online community. It's a support network where you can find resources, advice, and encouragement from those who understand what you've been through. Whether you're looking for camaraderie, mentorship, or simply a place to share your stories, FallInVeteran.com has it all. Join thousands of veterans who have already found their tribe and start connecting today. FallInVeteran.com. Come join us and experience the power of community. Sign up now at www.fall-in-veteran.com.
Battle for that front. You want to talk about that a little bit from your perspective?
Yeah, I got forgot who the first guy that I got with. I looked at the replay now and I thought I don't know. I guess you guys will decide when you see it. I felt like he left the door open and I put my car there and I feel like he moved down, but when I look at it again, I feel like he's slightly moving down, but not I don't know. I think it's close. I definitely did not mean to turn him at all. And then with Kyle, that was definitely I don't know. Kenny kind of got in there. I'm like, what is he doing? I got in between both of us. And then turn one, he kind of came up and hit me a little bit. And we kind of bounced off each other. But yeah, then the yellow came out, and and that's it. I didn't have enough fuel, so I definitely had to pit. Not enough for the yellow laps for the yellow flag.
And another thing I was going to talk about too was you were out front leading with I think about 2 laps to go, and that yellow came out. Did it really make you nervous at all?
Well, when I knew the yellow came out, I knew it was pretty much over because I know people had pitted, and with 2 laps, you're gonna stay out. Yeah, I definitely had enough to make it, but yeah, once the yellow came out, unless something crazy happened, which without a yellow, maybe I could have won, but yeah, it was going to be pretty difficult to pass.
Hey, next week we are at North Wilkesboro for a non-points All-Star race. So, what's your thoughts there?
I can't remember the last time I did that track on this car, but I like short track racing. Anytime you have to be on the brake, I like it. So we'll see what happens.
And before I let you go, who you gonna give a shout out to tonight for your third place finish?
Yeah, private label team hype. You guys for broadcasting and everybody else that races in the league every week.
Hey, Abner, thanks for talking with us, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you.
That was Abner Acosta, driver of the 55 machine. Next up, Big Al is going to be standing by with our second place finisher, I do believe, Kyle Holden.
Kyle Holden, Big Al up in the booth. You got me?
I do believe we got to pull him in. Hold on just a second. All right, there he is. Had to pull him in. There's Kyle Holden with Big Al.
Kyle Holden, Big Al up in the booth. You got me?
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Hey, first off, congratulations to you for that second place finish. You guys had a strong car. You showed strong through all three stages, man, and looked like you're really going to run away with this thing, as you did have a decent-sized lead for the majority of the third stage. When did it all start to go south?
Well, stage 3, there was like 3 laps of like in between if you can make it or not. So we tried to save some fuel along the run and didn't end up saving enough, and I needed one more lap. So I really slowed down, upshifted quite early to try to save as much as we could. Abner still ended up catching us there. So regardless of that caution came out, I think we're still coming P2, but we definitely had a crazy long run car. This thing just took off after about 10, 15 laps, and I don't think anyone could really stay with us on just speed alone. But there was a little bit of fuel strategy going on there, and then the late caution kind of threw us for a little whirl there. I ended up taking 4 tires since I figured we burned our tires quite a bit. But I guess that wasn't the right call. Should have took 2 maybe. Maybe we would have got the win there. But good job to Paul. I know he's filling in for someone this week for Tim. But just a huge good race by everybody.
Hey, does it feel good to have Darlington behind you right now?
It sure does. Even though I do like this track, it is quite hard to drive, especially if you do get a really long green flag run in. But I do like it. It is a bit of a challenge. These technical tracks are more my style. So hopefully, my next week and my next league, we can maybe even pull a dub there.
Okay. So did that 122-degree track temperature, how did that affect you guys' preparation heading into this thing?
Honestly, I think we felt pretty good in the heat. I think if it stayed even hotter, I think we would have been even a little bit stronger. But we kind of liked it. But definitely when the heat came down, we started to fly. So it was kind of nice to not have to worry too much about your tires.
Yeah, that's awesome. And you were in the clean air for the majority of the contest. So when you weren't, though, did you really feel any difference? Was clean air really the ticket for tonight?
Clean air definitely helped, but definitely being behind someone as well, you're able to save a little bit more by not running as hard. But clean air is definitely dominant. It can be really hard to pass, especially if you're not trying to save tires or fuel or anything. So good job by everybody though. But yeah, just a great race.
Yeah, you were saving tires and fuel. Was that hard to do when you were actually running by yourself out front?
Yeah, it's difficult. You just didn't really know how fast you could go or how slow you needed to be. So it was difficult to get to that, the right edge just to get to the end there. But we ended up probably not having enough to make it. Abner got across it, in front of us there, but we tried our best, and it was definitely difficult.
Man, beautiful showing for you guys. Strong points today as well. Next week, we got North Wilkesboro. It's a non-points event just for fun. What are your thoughts on that one?
I can't wait to see what Kenny has in store for us there. I don't know if it's going to be like a normal race or if we're going to do some crazy stuff. So can't wait to see what he's got cooked up for us.
Roger that. You're definitely an all-star, sir. Thank you again. Congratulations on your second place performance. Before we let you go, who you shouting out tonight?
Huge shout out to you guys in the booth. I love watching these after we're done. Huge thanks to Team Watson Racing. They always have great setups. Kenny put on a pretty good one for us this week. And just huge thanks to all the sponsors on the car and huge thanks to everyone in the league.
Hey, that's awesome. And when you're watching that one tonight, understand, sir, I was reading from a teleprompter if I said anything that was negative.
Sounds good.
All right. As I always say, don't party too hard, boss.
All right. Appreciate it, man. Have a good night.
All righty, that was Kyle Holden, of course, driver of the 59. I do believe this is his first podium here in the ISCA, and could have been a step higher, but definitely a great job to the 59. Next up, a name that I know, and of course, Paul, I don't know, it's been quite a long time. Paul Bergoli driving the 83 here tonight. I mean, who would have thunk it? I did not have you winning this race. I got to be honest, and you there you are. Like,
Yeah. Well, not after that start. It was pretty unlikely, but it worked out well. I'll take a steal every now and again.
Well, I mean, it's kind of crazy that you kind of keep this trend going because we've had a few substitutions here this season where Michael Conti is substituted for Randy Mullins. We've also had Clayton Hoffman substitute, I do believe, for Chris Johnson. We've had some, that has happened before, and it seems like every time the substitution wins the race. I mean, this is your first start in this series, and it's your first win, correct?
Yeah, first start and first win for the series.
I mean, that's just a crazy statistic for a lot of these guys that have never been in this series, jumping in here and winning. So you definitely have joined an elite company. Of course, as I mentioned, Michael Conti, Clayton Hoffman. But what did you think about the ISCA? What was your thoughts coming into this? I mean, had you heard of the ISCA?
I've heard of it, and I know Kenny and the boys from A Open, and I just want to do a good job for Tim for his anniversary. It was a big deal having somebody sub in a league like this, so I just wanted to come out and do my best for him.
Do you have any interest of maybe running some more? I mean, because we definitely enjoyed having you.
I'm always down for good racing and a good group of people, but the schedule would have to work out, and these late Thursday nights don't always do. So maybe sometime in the future, if they'll have me, I'll be back.
Definitely understood. Now, what was the preparation like coming into tonight's race? I mean, ISCA, of course, a lot of times is very different than the officials. Did that kind of throw you? What did you have to do to prepare?
A little bit. The track temp at the beginning is quite a bit hotter than anything I had run on most of the week. So I just, fortunately saw that early and got some laps in, and just tried to keep my car clean, which didn't work out too well, but good enough to be up there at the end. Steal one for Tim.
All right. Well, definitely a great job to you, Paul. Who can we shout out after this big victory here in the ISCA? And hopefully we get to see you more often.
Yeah, well, I hope to be back. I appreciate the league for having me, and Kenny and the guys for putting it on. But I want to thank Tim and give him a happy anniversary. I'm happy I got to bring home the win for him. Ryko brought a piece this week, and they got me set up pretty good to come out here and at least finish in the top 3, but I'll take a steal. Thank my wife for keeping it alive in the house and screaming out there for me, and you guys for putting on the broadcast. And it's good talking to you, Brian. It's been a while.
Yeah, it definitely has. Good talk to you, Paul, and you have a great night. Congratulations.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. Later.
All righty, that was Paul Bergoli substituting for Tim Wortman Jr. Definitely a good job to him for sure. Able to sneak in and grab a win. And I'll tell you what, wreck avoidance can get you a win. I'll tell you what. And what a race. Big Al, what are your thoughts after that one? I mean, I don't know. I'm kind of speechless, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I'm not. I don't know what the over/under was. I think it was 3, but I'm telling you, what a spectacular event. These guys, they came in and they did not disappoint. Great caliber of racing. Thanks for all of the drivers that come out here every week to give us something to talk about. Thanks for Kenny for giving us a place to talk about it. Thanks for you for giving me somebody to talk about it with. Thanks, JC, for giving us somebody to talk about when he's not around. And thanks, Cody, for doing everything you do behind the scenes.
Yeah, definitely a great race here tonight. Of course, fantastic performance from all the drivers. And, of course, A lot of people going to be disappointed going home after this one, but I tell you what, it's going to line us up for some interesting short track action next week. If I'm not mistaken, I looked at the ISCA schedule, and we're going to be doing 250 laps at North Wilkesboro from what I've seen. So short tracks after a race like this, I think we're going to see some bumpers possibly being thrown here next week for sure at the All-Star race. Make sure you tune in 9:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's going to be when the broadcast will go live. Of course, the race itself will go green flag a little after 9:30. But definitely want to give a big shout out to, of course, Big Al and J.C. Evans for being up here in the booth with me. Of course, Kobe Jordan for doing all the bringing all the camera angles and doing all the production work. Fantastic performance from him as well. I know he's kind of an unsung hero in a lot of ways, and I'm singing his praises right now. But definitely thank you to Kenny Powell as well for putting this series on and another successful ISCA race. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you next time.
I found the ISCA after I'd been in the service for a long time. I'd been in iRacing for well over a decade and spent most of my time in NASCAR series, a lot of fixed racing for the most part, and really just got to a point in my iRacing career where I really wanted to get involved in open setup racing versus fixed, partially because I was just looking for a little higher level of competition, you know, maybe a little cleaner driving and maybe get away from some of the challenges that go along with fixed racing on the service. And it took me a while as I was really searching out leagues because I kind of had a very specific thing I was looking for. A, I wanted to be an established league. You know, B, I just really wanted clean, quality drivers to be racing around. And once I found the ISCA, I found